Hey, what's up? It's Cute What If? This side. Today we will be seeing what if Deku entered Jurassic Park. Before we move ahead with the FIC, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future what ifs like this. Jurassic Theater unknown location. Where am I? Izuku wakes up after he fell unconscious by some unknown cause. What is this place? Izuku looks around to check his surroundings, and there he sees what looks like a big rectangle theater screen with the JP symbol logo on the right side. I may have been sent to some kind of theater. Next he finds a big food stand or restaurant, like the one from the first film, but it's got all kinds of food and drinks, even popcorn, in case anyone is hungry. Well, at least I can eat something while I'm stuck here. The last thing that Izuku sees a table, the one where the baby Velociraptor are ready to hatch from their eggs in the first film, filled with plants and a lone egg that looks like it's ready to hatch. Oh, looks like this one is ready to hatch. Let's check this out. Izuku comes to the hatching egg, which he help open up and help the baby out of the egg. Oh, you're a cute one, aren't you? You little triceratops, Izuku said as he carries the baby triceratops in his arms, and the hatching seems to like him. He only recognizes it's a triceratops due to the appearance. Deku! Izuku turns around to find Uraraka behind him. With her is Kaken, Shoto, Lida, Ijiro, Mineta, Denki, Tokoyami, Momo, Azui, Jiro, To, Mina and Itsuka. The pros is All Might, Kamui Woods, Shota, Midnight, E-Lady and Recovery Girl. Others with them is David and Melissa Shields, Eri too. Where are we anyway, Deku? Uraraka asks while touching the cute little baby triceratops, as the other girls are making adorable sounds on cute the baby is, even allowing Eri to touch it, and the baby licks Eri's face. The boys all except for Kaken wants to touch it. I think someone wants us to watch movies which are known as. Izuku turns to the theater screen and sees the title. Jurassic Park, which is about dinosaurs. Izuku explains to them. Why would we want to waste our time watching movies about dinosaurs? That hot temper, Kaken asks, then the screen says this again. Looks like while we are here time is paused in our dimension and looks like the film is about to start soon, Izuku says after seeing what it says on the screen. Okay, then let's grab whatever we need to eat while we watch Jurassic Park then, All Might said, and then everybody reluctantly and not knowing why they are even here grabs the food and drinks they need and sit down in the chairs and sofa to get ready to watch Jurassic Park. Oh, looks like we cannot use our quirks too, Izuku said after seeing screen saying that their quirks are disabled. Also they can see notice Toru visible, picture Toru whatever you like. Well, that's crap. Kaken says angrily. We never actually talk about dinosaurs in class before because we are so focused on becoming heroes, Midnight noted to everyone. Well, let's see what Jurassic Park can tell us, Aizawa said to her as the entire area goes dark as the movie starts. Now let's watch, Izuku said while petting the baby triceratops in his arms. Eri allows herself to stay close to Deku and then baby triceratops. Jurassic Park workers and Robert Muldoon, all armed with M16 assault rifles, SPAS 12 shotgun and taser rifles, sees the forklifter carrying a large container which contains the Velociraptor that will be placed inside its paddock. After the forklifter puts the container down, the Velociraptor could see everything outside from its container. Next, Muldoon orders the workers to give the container a push and order all taser rifles on a full charge. But the workers back up when the Velociraptor gives them a scare with a single roar. Yikes, even I would be scared if I was going to give that container that's holding a meat-eating dinosaur a push and suddenly it roars. Mina said commented how the workers reacted after the lone Velociraptor gave them a scare. Well, that dinosaur can see its prey from the little holes, you know, All Might said. Muldoon orders the workers back in and slowly gives the container a push and locks it at the paddock. Muldoon then orders the gatekeeper to get up there. The Velociraptor can see the gatekeeper on top and is planning something. Muldoon then orders the gatekeeper to open the gate so the Velociraptor can get inside and joins the others. Unfortunately, the Velociraptor rams the gate, causing the gatekeeper to fall off just as soon it opens halfway. When the gatekeeper attempts to crawl away, he is suddenly pulled back by the Velociraptor that attempts to devour him. That dino was waiting for an opportunity and now it has its chance, Aizawa said while covering Eri's eyes because this is something they want her to see. Those guys better do everything they could to save the gatekeeper before the dino eats him, Midnight said as they watch Muldoon and others comes to the gatekeeper's aid. while Muldoon tries to help the gatekeeper while the other workers try everything they could to stun the Velociraptor with their tasers. Unfortunately, despite all their efforts, they eventually failed to save the gatekeeper despite Muldoon ordering the workers to shoot the raptor. Next scene, they meet Donald Gennaro, who meets up a man he talks to, and after entering the mine they take a look on a fossilized mosquito inside Amber. Oh my, they failed to save the gatekeeper. MT Lady commented. That dino was too strong, and seriously, the man ordered the guys with M16 assault rifles to kill it, and they are not fast enough on doing so, Kaken said in an angry tone. Izuku wrote on his notebook that the gatekeeper killed by the dino while attempting to get it inside the paddock. Does anyone notice what's in that fossilized amber? Kamui Woods asked. It's a mosquito, the blood-sting insect. I know one of our classmates who's afraid of bugs, except he's not here to see this. Jiro answered the question and mentioned one of their classmates that's actually afraid of bugs except he's not here. Now we move in where they meet Dr. Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler digging up fossils of a Velociraptor and a Protoceratops before being called to see the computer. Two guys tries out this machine to shoot a hole before seeing on the computer screen which turns out to be a Velociraptor. Alan Grant then talked to the people about dinosaurs are more like birds than reptiles. Alan then speaks with a boy about the Velociraptors and showing a fossil of raptor claw that's located in the toe of the raptor. He did give the boy a scare with the raptor claw. Next, Ellie teases Alan about kids when suddenly a helicopter appears, creating big wind and blowing the sand, causing it cover the fossils they just dug up. Alan and Ellie run down and tells everybody to cover the spot, and that's what the others just did while Alan speaks with the helicopter pilot to turn off the helicopter power. That was good lecture Dr. Grant gave to the kid about Velociraptor. Velociraptors always hunt in packs whenever they go hunting, and they are so intelligent. Midnight told All Might about the raptors. Oh, I bet Dr. Grant knows a lot about raptors, more, even if he chooses to give anyone a scare with a raptor claw, Momo said, complimenting on how much Alan knows about the raptors. Speaking of raptors, who said they are allowed to have a helicopter land here due to the fact that it's covering the bones they just dug up? Kaken asked because they all saw what the helicopter just caused. I think we are about to find out why that helicopter is here, Bakugo, Tenya said to him. Alan then goes to the trailer RV, and there he meets the old man John Hammond, who was quite surprised. Then Alan introduced Ellie Sattler to Hammond. Next, John talks about Jurassic Park that his company constructed in Isla Nublar and tells them that they will open next year assuming the investors improve with it. Alan and Ellie agree that they are in and toast to it, and both Alan and Ellie are excited that we'll see a real dinosaur. That's nice. Mina being cheerful, she thinks that Alan and Ellie are into each other, but she will soon realize that Alan and Ellie are just colleagues, which she will see in Jurassic Park. They are excited they will be seeing a real dinosaur when they get there, Jiro said, smiling on excited about this. Yeah, but how are dinosaurs back? Because we'll all know they all went extinct 65 million years ago? I think we are about to find out, Kamui Woods. Next scene is they see Louis Dodgson meeting with Dennis Nedri, where he hands him the money in a big bag. Dodgson show him a shaving cream that he will be using to carry all of them bios he's going to steal back to him and followers. Dennis tells him to tell his followers to meet him at the East Dock 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and he knows how to beat security. I take it these dudes are villains of Jurassic Park because they are planning on stealing them bios, Tokoyami said after learning of their attention. Those bios they are talking about are really dinosaur bios, Ijiro said on what they are planning to steal. Hey everyone, do you all remember that helicopter that showed up early? Yeah, Deku, what about it? Achiko asked what about the helicopter. It had a sign on it that says Ingen, that must be the name of John Hammond's company that's creating Jurassic Park. Yeah, what else is there you want say to us, Deku? Well, Toru, I bet these villains who are planning to steal the dinosaur bios are from a rival company that also want their own dinosaurs for money. Deku made his point on what these villains are. That's true, companies are never without rivals. Aizawa said is really true, a company is never without rivals. Biasin Corporation is not only known for doing business with others, they are also known for sabotage and steal from other companies just to make themselves rich and superior to other companies. Also, if they discovered a medicine that's capable of destroying any kind of infection, illness and viruses, they would just keep that stuff to themselves and rather not tell anyone about it. They are also known to reverse engineer too. Biasin is featured and mentioned in many of Jurassic Park novels, comics and video games, but in the films not so much, although their first appearances was in the first film where their only employee is Louis Dodgson is seen speaking with Dennis Nedri. In Jurassic Park, Louis Dodgson and Biasin were planning to get their own dinosaurs ever since the creation of Jurassic Park caught their attention. All they did is bribed Dennis Nedri, who is a disgruntled Ingen employee, for the task. Ultimately, their plans to get their own dinosaurs was a failure due to Dennis Nedri's death at the hands of Dilophosaurus after he got lost somewhere in the island before he can reach the East Dock, where Biasin employees were waiting for him to deliver the dinosaurs he stole. The Dilophosaurus unknowing preventing Biasin's plans to get their own dinosaurs, but Jurassic Park falls to ruins because of Biasin's interference and Dennis Nedri's virus. In Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 they are not mentioned or featured there, not even in Jurassic World or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Although there was a logo of Biasin shown in one of the trailer trucks in Jurassic World. Notes that I've seen in Jurassic Park Wikia and Villains Wikia, if it's still there in Villains Wikia, there was a belief that the human antagonists Vic Hoskins of Jurassic World and Eli Mills of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom might actually be working Biasin. But this belief is really uncertain. Anyway, that's all I know about Biasin Corporation. They will return for Jurassic World Dominion coming July 10, 2022 with Louis Dodgson as the CEO chairman. Whoa! Shota commented about the sudden part of the helicopter when it was in landing position. Yeah, I would get scared and startled by that sudden landing because the pilots gave no warning that it was going to land now, Momo said next. Also, you get the feeling that Dr. Malcolm is mathematical and chaos theorist? Itsuka asked and everybody nodded that he really is. Hey, the Jeep Wranglers is going to be their ride. All Might said liking the design and paint job of the Jeep Wranglers with the Jurassic Park logo on it, and Deku started sketching JP Jeep Wranglers. You think the inspection of Isla Nublar that Gennaro is working on will go well like John believes? Tokoyami asked if that's going to happen. I highly doubt it. Why is that, Lita? It's because that one rival company of Ingen is planning to steal the dinosaurs, and if they are already in Isla Nublar then the tour and inspection isn't going to end well and Jurassic Park will not be able to open next year as John and Ingen has planned. The two Jeep Wranglers then drive in an open grass field with large trees where they stop because John said so, then Alan turns to the left because he sees something, then he gets Ellie to see what he is seeing. Well, she was checking out a big leaf before Alan gets her attention. I think they see what they are about to see, Denki said. Yes, they are. Mineta said next as the scene shows what Alan and Ellie are seeing. Coming into view is a massive adult Brachiosaurus that goes feeding on one of the large trees. Alan and Ellie step out of there. Jeep Wrangler to check out the feeding Brachiosaurus, saying it's a dinosaur, which Alan said to Ellie. John joins them while Malcolm says the SOB word after seeing that John has done it. Brachiosaurus, the largest long neck and land dinosaur ever to live on the Earth, an intrigued Toru said as Deku sketch up the Brachiosaurus. Well, the sauropods are one of the great family of dinosaurs that dominated the Jurassic PRD, and Brachiosaurus was one of them to live in that PRD, and there were a little sauropods left in the Cretaceous PRD. All Might lectures the others about the sauropods becoming the most dominated family of dinosaurs of the Jurassic PRD, while in the Cretaceous PRD not so much. What's up with Malcolm? Just shocked like Alan and Ellie upon seeing a real dinosaur for the first time at Suka. Deku answered her question while he continues to sketch the Brachiosaurus, and the baby Triceratops stays with Eri. Alan and Ellie continue to watch and talk about the feeding Brachiosaurus as John finally joins them. The Brachiosaurus then stands on its rear feet to reach the higher part of the tree and takes a bite and comes back down, shaking the ground around it. Gennaro, who was watching, said they are going to make a fortune with this entire park, while Malcolm laughed on liking the events with the Brachiosaurus. John then mentions that they have T-Rex to Ellie, which caught Alan's attention after hearing this, and he gets down on his knees to sit down. John then said welcome to Jurassic Park, and roar of a Brachiosaurus is heard. Then Alan look on the other side of the lake and sees they are two more Brachiosaurus with a herd of Parasaurolophus drinking from the lake. Alan commented that they are moving in herds. He then asked John how he do this, and John will gladly show them. Oh, I think we will all prefer that Jurassic Park is never going to be about money, Kaken said, because he didn't like the rival companies, so he prefer nothing about money. He said that they have a T-Rex but it's probably locked up somewhere in Jurassic Park. Still was quite impressive what the Brachiosaurus did when it was trying to reach the higher part of the tree. Momo comment liking what the Brachiosaurus did. Also the herd of Parasaurolophus that was next to the other two Brachiosaurus. Deku sketched the Parasaurolophus. Hey, John said that he will show how did he bring the dinosaurs back to life, Shoto said. Then let's be ready to see that part. Mina said that they will be ready to see that. After seeing the Brachiosaurus and the Parasaurolophus, they went to the visitor center where John tells them a lot of things about it. Oh, there are two skeletons of an Alamosaurus and a T-Rex with a sign that says when dinosaurs ruled the earth. As they walk up the stairs, Ellie, Alan and Malcolm commented this. Out of the job or extinct? The visitor center, huh? Well, that's interesting to be in case anyone wants to stop somewhere for a break. Shoto said because that's what they would do if they need to stop for a break for a while. Do you see the skeletons and the walls with dinosaurs on it? Yes, we all did, Eri. Aizawa told her they saw everything. But do you all get what Alan, Ellie and Malcolm are saying? Recovery Girl asked them if they know. Meaning they might be no more paleontologists to dig up dinosaur bones anymore? Aizawa answer if that's really the answer. So they enter the theater to watch a short movie, but first see John Hammond meeting another John Hammond from the screen whom they all say hello to, and they notice multiple Johns which they realize it's actually cloning, which Malcolm, Alan and Ellie briefly talk about, and Ellie asks where do you get 1,000,000 dinosaur blood? Next they meet Mr. DNA who came from John's blood before revealing a DNA strand like him is a blueprint of a living thing like dinosaurs. He tells the audiences that fossilizes amber that the mosquitoes got stuck in is actually where dinosaur DNA is extracted from the frozen blood of the mosquitoes, and then Ingen recreates the dinosaurs, even spliced DNA from frogs to fill in the gaps of the genetic code of the dinosaurs. Nice they have theater, Toru said, liking theater inside the visitor center. Also, did you hear what Mr. DNA said? All of the dinosaurs are clones, all they did is getting the blood that mosquitoes to get their DNA. Since those little insect may have also feast on dinosaur blood too, but they also use DNA frogs for the gaps of their genetic code, Tenya said after they learn about the recreation of the dinosaurs to begin with. We all know cloning was outlawed due to the fact of playing God, but in this reality they are only cloning dinosaurs, so to us I think that will be fine as long it isn't humans that's being cloned. All Might tells them about the laws of cloning. True, all might, but some will still not agree with cloning even if isn't humans that's being cloned, because this is still playing God. Midnight says it will make no difference even if it's just dinosaurs that's being cloned, it's still playing God. Oh yeah. After the short film finished, the safety bars locks into their legs thanks to John pushing a button from a remote control and start going around seeing all of the Ingen scientists, and John tells them they are miracle works to Jurassic Park. Alan and others are getting completely uncomfortable with the safety bars as the ride continues. So they ask if they can see the unfertilized eggs, and John said shorty they will. Eventually Alan, Ellie, Malcolm work together to push the safety bars before leaving the theater. Hammond and Gennaro scoff and question their behavior before lifting their safety bars and joining them. They just had to do that, do they? Kaken said after seeing what they just did. Well, they wanted to see unfertilized eggs, do they? Momo said, knowing what Ellie. Well, looks they are really going to see the eggs, Deku said as they enter out of theater. The group makes their to the genetic lab, and all around them are hard-working scientists doing what needs to be done to resurrect the dinosaurs. They meet Henry Wu, and then they see a robot arm turning the eggs, but one was shaking, meaning this one is ready to hatch, which excites John as they watch the baby makes its way out of the egg, which John removes part. Then Henry Wu joins as they help the baby out of the egg and clean it up. That's a cute dinosaur, Mina said, making an adorable sound alongside the other girls, who finds the little baby dinosaur very cute. But did it all cross your minds that this little one might be a meat-eating dinosaur when it grows into adulthood? And the lady asked them because she and several others noticed the features of the baby dinosaur is that of a carnivore. Well, even it's still just a baby, Jiro said, because baby cannot experiences the nature of killing even it was a carnivore. While they are cleaning the baby Velociraptor, Ian talks about some stuff after hearing Dr. Wu mentions that the dinosaurs they cloned cannot breed in the wild due to population control for security precaution, because there is no unauthorized breeding in Jurassic Park, and says that all are female and they are engineered that way. Ian them speaks out history of evolution has taught humanity that life will not be contained, life breaks free, expands to new places and crashes through barriers. What he is actually saying is life finds a way which the students and pros find very iconic and interesting. Life finds a way, even if we are not around, life can go on without us. Tenya said thoughts about what Ian said. That's why we'll find what Malcolm says iconic. All Might said they will all keep what Malcolm said iconic. Alan now holding the baby Velociraptor and asked Dr. Wu what is the species is dinosaurs is it? Dr. Wu said it was a Velociraptor, which Alan responded they bred raptors. Dr. Wu nodded and Alan looks at the baby Velociraptor in his hands, believing that one day it will grow into the dangerous and incredible killer. I know what Alan is thinking. Since he knows Velociraptor all too well, he knows what this little dinosaur will become someday after it reaches its full-grown adulthood. All Might commented after seeing the look on Alan's face. Very true, All Might, Midnight said. We would all be thinking the same thing if one of us was holding that baby raptor in our hands and ask what the species is, Lita said as the scene now changes. A viscous shriek roar is giving some a jump scare. Now we're back to the Velociraptor paddock where they watch the raptors feed on a cow that's attached to a harness and cable too. After the cow finally is inside, the Velociraptors viciously attacks the cow unseen while everybody watch. Some interested, but some in Ellie's case is disgust as everything calms down afterwards and all is left is raptors making more shrieking and snarling roars. I don't feel interest on seeing what the Velociraptors did to that cow if they were showing what they did to the cow for real instead of off-screen, Uraraka said, not looking or even trying to listen to the shriek roar and snarling of the Velociraptor as the being feasting on the cow. Tell me about Uraraka. Even that shriek roar in the beginning did give some of us a jump scare. After this, they meet Robert Muldoon from earlier in the film who tells them about the raptors, even the newcomer who's responsible for death of the gatekeeper and all the raptors in order to rise to leadership of the clan. Muldoon mentions their 8 raptors they bred. Now there is not much due to what the newcomer did known as the Big One did. Muldoon said that the Big One has been attacking electric fences, but they are actually testing the fences for weakness, so they use that to make their escape. Eventually the crane returns, but it looks trashed, covered in blood and nothing left of cow now because the raptors have killed it and eaten it. The audiences felt very disturbed because they imagine if that were any of them in there, even if they had their quirks with them. Even they are disturbed when Muldoon mentions the Big One have been attacking the electric fences. That was the only thing keeping them from escaping. Did Muldoon say that the Big One who was actually the newcomer killed all of the other raptors? Denki said after hearing what Muldoon said. Yes, to rise to leadership of the clan, but I believe the Big One is also responsible for the death of the gatekeeper in the beginning of the film. All Might answered the question. Very true. To become a clan leader you need to kill the previous clan leader in a battle to the death. Midnight said on how to rise to clan leader. Also Muldoon said that raptors are trying to escape whenever they are testing the weakness of the electric fences. Yes, they are young Midoriya. The raptors are very intelligent. After this they return to the visitor center to have lunch, but they have a lot of things to talk about. Hammond and Gennaro snicker laugh after saying something that's funny. Ian decided to share his viewpoint, which John allows. Ian said that scientific power they are using it never require any DSPLN to attain it, which also means that Ingen never takes any responsibility. You think Malcolm is right about the problem with the science that John and Ingen is doing? Probably if they weren't keeping an eye on their rivals. Momo answered Jiro after she asked. I have another question. What kind of lunch are they getting anyway? Kaken asked because he doesn't seem to like what food the waiters placed on the table where Ellie is sitting. Could be anything, Kaken. Deku answered, although he doesn't actually know what kind of food is that. Next up, Ellie and then Alan share what they have say about what John is trying to do. Alan's conclusion was interesting. Dinosaurs revived from cloning by humanity and now 2 species are thrown back into the mix together and wonder how can they possibly have the slightest idea what to expect. John laugh after believing that he's come down here and defend him against the others, and only he has in his side is Gennaro, who responds thank you but feeling offended. One the waiters approach John and whispered to him. The John stands up saying they are here. Well, at least Ellie and Alan have different opinions about everything that John and Ingen has done here, Lita said. Who's here? Mineta asked what does John mean by they're here. I think we are about to find out now, Ijiro said as the scene changes. As they come down from the stairs, they are greeted by John's grandchildren Tim and Lex, who come up the stairs and gave their grandpa a hug in a tackle way, while Ian, Ellie, Alan and Gennaro watches all this. Tim and Lex came to the island by helicopter just like them. Never expected this to happen. Tokoyami said because having them around might make them noisy. Hey, they are just happy to see their grandpa because maybe they haven't seen him a while due to his work in Ingen and Jurassic Park. Momo tells Tokoyami why the kids are so energetic. That's interesting, 2 Ford Explorers that runs in electric instead of fuel and is probably remote control. Izuku sketched the Ford Explorers. Never mind about that, Deku. Why isn't John Hammond joining them for the tour? Maybe it's because he will just monitor them from the control room in the visitor center. All Might gave Kakin the answer. Did you all realize before, Alan said he doesn't like children? Recovery Girl asked if they all remember that. We all know except Alan will not mention this to Tim and Lex, but something tells me that Alan will bond with Tim and Lex later on. Itsuka said, and yes, Alan will bond with Tim and Lex later on when the disaster happens next. John and Muldoon enter the control room and he said that there is a tropical storm on the way, although Muldoon believes it will only pass them like the previous one. Anyway, John tells Ray Arnold to get the tour started. After hitting some keyboards, he said hold on to your butts and activates the explorers to get going. Really, a tropical storm in a time like this? Momo shouted because this is a bad time for a storm to just appear. Nature Yamamo. Jiro said to her that it's the forces of nature. Hold on to your butts. Mineta mimics that line that Arnold said, which causes Azui to smack him with her tongue. Now the explorers get a move on while Tim mutters about the wheel that's moving even if there is no driver on it. On their way they enter the big gate with the computer saying welcome to Jurassic Park with everyone in excitement. Ian on the other hand asked this question, what they got in their King Kong? Which the audience finds ridiculous. Back in the control room, John on the computer types on the keyboard and switches the camera on one of the explorers. My good guess that big gate is the only way in or out of the tour, Midnight mentions. What else is the explorers have cameras to be monitored, Toru said, but some of the girls don't like it due to some perverts that might be watching if they were in it. They reach the first paddock that belonged to the Dilophosaurus. Everyone looks in excitement, but their excitement was cut short because none of the Dilophosaurus can be seen anywhere inside the paddocks as they move on the next paddock. They just hope when they get to the next paddock they will probably see the next dinosaur this time. Well, that SC kiss, no Dilophosaurus. Denki said, feeling unhappy they didn't see Dilophosaurus in the paddock. Maybe when they get to the next paddock they will see a dinosaur for real this time. Shoto said, but on the next paddock, which where T-Rex is being kept, it will be the same too. Nothing there. Back in the control room, Arnold talks about the glitch list, and they all have the problems in Jurassic Park. John then turns Dennis Nedri, who turns out to be an employee of Ingen, and they talk about his financial debate that John will not get drawn to, and he doesn't blame people for mistakes, but he does ask them to get paid. Dennis is then told by Arnold to debug the tour program with the Explore headlights. Dennis will do that when they get back. The conversation eventually gets interrupted by Muldoon, who tells everyone quiet. Muldoon then noticed the 2 explorers are heading for the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock. Oh, so Dennis Nedri, who was bribed by the rival company, is really an employee to Ingen, is in charge of fixing glitches all around the island. Midnight said after they all see what Nedri does while not making his move to steal those mbios yet. Also looks like the tour is going to their next dinosaur paddock, the T-Rex. Aizawa said, but some of the students are excited to see the T-Rex, but that will come later on, not now. Time to see the king of the dinosaurs. Denki said, cheering to see the T-Rex. The 2 explorers arrive at the T-Rex paddock, which is a massive electric fence that's supposed to keep the T-Rex from escaping. Like the Dilophosaurus, the T-Rex is nowhere to be seen at all. Ian commented that God created the dinosaurs and then destroyed and created humanity, and they destroy God and humanity creates dinosaurs. Ellie then believes woman will inherit the earth once all of the dinosaurs devours the men. Ian and Alan stare at Ellie and then turn their attention to the T-Rex paddock, but the T-Rex is still nowhere to be seen. Just like before, no T-Rex on sight. Denki said in disappointment again that the T-Rex is nowhere in sight. Women inherits the earth once all the males are gone? I don't get it. Kaken said because it makes no sense to him if women inherits the earth nor if that's even possible. Oh shut it Kaken. Uraraka said feeling offended alongside the other girls, because to them it's possible probably. Next Arnold said on the radio that they will try to bring the T-Rex out and tells everyone to keep watching scene. Then a cage comes up with a goat with it. This was to feed the T-Rex. Lex and Tim talks about it and Gennaro asks if they ever had lamb chops and Lex said she is vegetarian. Alan mentions that the T-Rex only once wants to hunt not fed and no one can suppress 65 million years of gut instincts. Everyone continues to wait but the T-Rex isn't showing itself and it's time to move on now. Back in the control room again John changed the cameras which Ian asks a question and John says he really hates that man. Really no T-Rex to see, Kamui Woods said in disappointment but they will see the T-Rex later on anyway. Maybe we'll see the T-Rex later on Kamui Woods. Thanks for stating that MT lady. Anyway as they move on to the next dinosaur, Ian and Ellie talks a bit and Ian does this water trick with Ellie's hand. Alan doesn't pay attention to this but looks outside as something it's out there. Curiosity gets the better of him and he steps out of the Explorer to check it out and Ellie then follows him leaving him by himself but he will join them too. Whatever is out there that Alan is going to check it out maybe this time we'll see another dinosaur for real now, Toru said feeling excited to see the dinosaur for real this time. But you all better hope it will not be a meat-eating dinosaur like Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus and T-Rex. All might reminded everyone it better not be a carnivore. Back at the control center John and others notice the Alan and others stepping out of the Explorers tells Arnold to stop the Explorers and Muldoon mentions that they really need locking mechanisms on the doors of all of the electric vehicles. Next to Nedri he is checking out the surveillance cameras showing the cold storage and another showing a ship and lastly his the Barbasol cream that he will use to steal the embryos. Nedri is still biding his time to steal those embryos, all Mike commented after seeing those surveillance cameras. And I bet the cold storage is his target because I think that's where the dino embryos are being kept, Izuku took a guess. I bet you're right young Midoriya. As everyone including Gennaro walk in the open field to see what's out there, Tim continues to talk to Alan who rarely even responds to him. Lex trips and Alan catches and asks if she is okay and she is. Time tries to show him something but he ignores him. Come on Tim just stop, Kaken said in annoyances. Tim just doesn't know that Alan doesn't like kids, Jiro said to him. Alan stops everyone and tells them to stay here while he checks it out. Tim then follows him with Ellie and Lex unable to stop him. Well to a relief the dinosaur there turns out to be a triceratops that's a plant eater and is sick. The one watching it was Dr. Harding and everyone knows it's safe to be close to the triceratops. While they enjoy the moment with the triceratops, Ellie notices something on the tongue and pulls it out and it turns out to be microvesicles. Most of the audience got grossed out after seeing Ellie pull something out of the triceratops's tongue. You think that was causing the triceratops to get very sick? Eri asks while she keeps her hands on the baby triceratops who's still with her. Most likely Eri, unless the triceratops ate something that caused it to become sick, Aizawa answered her while Deku sketches the triceratops. Harding hands the pen flashlight to Ellie so she can get a clearly look at the triceratops's condition before she looks around to check the plants to see how did the triceratops got sick in the first place. There she finds a West Indian lilac. Harding said they are toxic and the animals don't eat them all. Well, Ellie decided to look at the droppings to be positive about it. So that's why the triceratops got sick. It must had accidentally ate the lilac while feeding. Lita said now they all know how the triceratops got sick to begin with. Never mind about that. Do all of you know what Ellie mean by droppings? Uraraka asked if everyone knows about that and they all nodded their heads on what Ellie meant by that. Muldoon is on the phone and realized that Storm isn't going to fade or change course and that means they will have to cut the tour short and pick up what they started on the next day. John agrees to do so thanks to convincing by Arnold and announce everyone the last shore will leave 5 minutes and tells everyone to leave now. John suddenly gets mad after listening to this announcement. I take it that ship was supposed to be their way off the island, Shoto said knowing that's the main reason why John got mad. Ian approaches and what looks like a pile of droppings nearly as tall as he is. Almost everyone of the audience look away not wanting to vomit what they are eating on the sight of it but some who don't feel anything keep their eyes on it. Anyway Ellie wearing gloves checks it all out and finally found the answer on the triceratops's illness. Thunder slowly roars from the sky while Ian and Alan continue to talk about things. Is it clear? Uraraka asks if they are clear to look. Yes, it is Uraraka. All might, it's clear to look now. And looks like the storm is just about to begin. They better leave soon as possible, Recovery Girl said, because nobody wants to be caught in the storm. Meanwhile, Dennis keeps typing away, and when he finishes, a big red button appears saying execute. The tour is now over when suddenly loud thunder roars from the sky, and Gennaro, who got startled or spooked by it, tells everyone they should leave now. Ellie said she will stay with Harding and the Triceratops, and Harding said that he will drop Ellie off at the visitor center before he gets to the boat with the others to leave the island. Then everyone else, all except for Ellie, heads back to the explorers as the storm begins and waves are shown crashing over the island's storm barriers. Dennis is then seen talking to the crew member who was waiting for him to deliver the stolen bios, and he said he needs 15 minutes to get there, but there can't be no promise. Looks like Dennis will need to get this heist started right now. But how does he expect to get this going without alerting anybody, Lita? Well, Jiro, I bet he has some sort of plan to keep everyone distracted. Still, that storm gave me a startle, Uraraka said, because she did get startled by the loud roar of the thunder. John stares at the mosquito contained in an amber attached to his cane while he speaks with Arnold. John said the first tour was a waste due to the Dilophosaurus and T-Rex not showing themselves and a sick Triceratops. Next, Dennis tells that he will grabbing some drinks for everybody, but that's just a distraction while he steals them bios. After that, he clicks on the red execute button and then leaves after grabbing his shaving cream. A 1-minute countdown was shown on the screen. I got a bad feeling on what happens next once that countdown reaches 0, Denki said. I bet it's a virus that will do something bad with the system, Mineta said next. But this virus will eventually shut down the electric fences, leaving the dinosaurs free to escape, all except for the Velociraptors. Hey, do you all believe Hammond was right that the first tour was wasted due to Dilophosaurus and T-Rex not showing themselves? Ijiro is right about Hammond saying that the first tour was wasted. Some of us do believe it was waste, by some of don't. Besides, they saw the Triceratops anyway, All Might answered. Back at the explorers, Ian and Alan talk about something like if they have a thing for kids, but Ian said he loved kids and said that Ian is always looking for a future ex-Malcolm. Back with Dennis, he is waiting to shut down the security camera down, which did happen, and leaving him to easily enter where the restricted area. Arnold was just about to light his cigarette, but a buzzing and beeping from the computer catches his attention, showing that many security system is shutting down, but they all think it's no big deal based on what Dennis told them. You should all be concerned when security goes offline, you know. Hey, it's not like they know what's going on midnight. All Might is right because they were told by Nedri a few system may go offline. Dennis then enters the cold storage where the bios are stored and opens up 2 freezers and collects each bio and puts each one into the shaving cream before leaving. Back with at the explorers, the interactive screen suddenly shuts off, which Alan and Ian hasn't noticed yet as they continue talking about Ellie, when suddenly their explorers jerks as it come to a halt. Alan wonders what he touched, but Ian said he didn't touch anything, they stopped out of nowhere. Now Dennis got those bios without anyone noticing. The last thing he needs to do is deliver it to the people at the East Dock, MT Lady said after seeing what Nedri just did without anyone noticing. Plus, why did the explorers suddenly stops? Kamui Woods wonders, as did everyone else. It's probably that countdown in Nedri's computer is up and now virus does what it was supposed to do. All Might answered by that countdown is actually a virus and now it's uploaded. In the control room, everybody is started to worry about when indicators are showing all of the electric fences are shutting off, and this will allow the dinosaurs to escape from their paddocks. Meanwhile, Dennis in a Jeep Wrangler to unlock the gate before driving off to the park, since it's the only way to get to the East Dock. Meanwhile, Arnold gets to Dennis's workstation and was asked by Muldoon if the Raptor paddock is offline, and they are surprised it's still online, and John wonders why the hell he would shut off all of the other paddocks, all except for the Velociraptors. So what that virus was doing is causing everything in the island to go offline and allowing all the dinosaurs to escape from their paddocks? Lita pieces the stuff together. But why not the Velociraptors? Because Jiro, Dennis knew the Velociraptors are dangerous, so he leaves their paddock online. Back with Dennis, he opens up more fences for him to drive through. While driving, he accidentally crashed into the sign that was supposed to lead him to the East Dock. He points the arrow left and right but doesn't know where to go, so he angrily spins it and let it decide where to go. Something tells me he doesn't know where to go due to a broken arrow, Shoto said, laughing along with the others. Let's just hope he gets lost so the rival company doesn't get what they want. Kaken said, also laughing too. Arnold is typing on trying to get everything back online. By everything he gets his permission denied until he sees cartoony Dennis Nedri appearing on the other monitor wagging his finger, which got Arnold to get mad but the audience laugh because this part was funny. John asked Arnold to call Nedri's people and Cambridge but the phones are not working, and John asked Muldoon where did the explorers have stopped. Well, that's just great, there is no way to bring everything back online. Kaken shouted, and because of that the dinosaurs are free to escape, all except for the Velociraptors. Hey, I have something to say, where did the explorers stopped? Toru asked, and everyone wonders where is the explorers now. The answer is they are back at the T-Rex paddock, and Alan runs back to his explorer after talking to the front and tells Ian that their radios is out too and they will have to stay put from now on. Meanwhile, Tim startles Lex with a night vision goggles. Tim told Gennaro that he found it in box under his seat. Gennaro tells Tim to put it back assuming it's expensive, but Tim doesn't as he wants to try it on, and Lex hits him in the head telling not to scare her. What a brat. Don't be like that, Kaken. Tim just wants his fun, Deku tells him, but Kaken only glares at him while he sketches what the night vision goggles looks like. Hey, did it ever occur to any of you that we'll see the T-Rex this time? Tokoyami asked them. Most likely with the electric fences down, Midnight answered, but that's what they are about to see soon. Alan uses a canteen bottle and used the rain to fill it up with water for him and Ian to drink. The wait continues until Tim suddenly feels rhythmic thumping tremor sounds as he looks at the cup of water. Gennaro noticed this too but thinks it's the power trying to come back on, and Tim looks out the explorer with the night vision goggles only to notice the goat is gone. Where the heck is the goat and what's causing the tremor? Denki asked while shaking in fear. That's a good question, All Might answered. Everyone gets a jump scare when dismembered leg of the goat crashes on the roof of the Explorer, which shocks Lex with Gennaro, and Tim sees who did it. They all see an arm and reveals to be the Tyrannosaurus Rex, who has finally showed itself and devours the rest of the goat and looks to see the two explorers outside its paddock. Gennaro, who is filled with fear, runs outside and hides at the concrete bathroom believing he will be safe there. Finally the T-Rex shows itself and it eat the goat. Shoto said after they all get to see the T-Tex for the first time. PP. Who's the PP, Kaken? Gennaro for running away like a PP after seeing the T-Rex. Shoto. Kaken answered the question. He's was also being cowardly, Momo said next. Alan and Ian wonder what's up with Gennaro this time, but they turn attention to see the T-Rex breaking through its paddock. The T-Rex steps out of the paddock and roars after making it to road. It roars again and walks off, and Alan says they need stay absolutely still because the T-Rex's vision is based on movement. On the second Explorer, Lex pulls out a flashlight which she turns, which was a very bad idea as the light attracts the T-Rex's attentions. Bad idea. The light isn't going to scare the T-Rex away, it will just get its attention. Mina said, but Lex just doesn't know that because she is too scared. Tim tries to get Lex to turn the light off, but she isn't as the T-Rex got to their Explorer, and Tim shuts the door, but it soon noticed them and looks at them, even at Lex, who points the flashlight in its face. While Tim wasn't looking, the T-Rex gives them a jump scare with a roar causing them to cover their ears. Even some of the audiences got a jump scare from that roar. The T-Rex then moves the car, which caused Lex to scream. Tim tries to get Lex to turn the flashlight off, but they stop when they notice the T-Rex looking at them. The T-Rex's head crashes down, slamming the plexiglass roof of the Explorer down onto the kids. The plexiglass holds, and it's the only thing protecting them from the T-Rex's teeth. Tim and Lex scream in terror. In the audience, Eri hides behind Deku while most of the girls cover their eyes or cover their ears, while some of boys are disturbed of this scene. Now that's something to be disturbed by, All Might commented, because even he is disturbed by what the T-Rex tried to do. The T-Rex then slams its head against the Explorer and flips the Explorer over after making a second slam, which disturbed the audience again. The T-Rex then stands on top, biting its way through anything, even one of the tires, as the kid screams in terror as the T-Tex begins to crush the Explorer. On the other Explorer, Alan grabs a flare and lights it up to get the T-Rex's attention and letting out a loud roar. I hope Alan can draw the T-Rex away so he can get the kids out. Uraraka hopes Alan can do it. I believe Alan Grant knows what he's doing, Uraraka, Deku said to her. Alan waves the flare slowly back and forth and the T-Rex follows it. Grant then tosses the flare aside and freezes in place. The T-Rex goes after the light and then Ian exits the Explorer with another flare. Alan tells Ian to freeze, but he tells Alan to get the kids as the T-Rex pursue him. Where he runs is toward the bathroom where Gennaro is hiding. Oh my, run for your life, Ian, Momo said while they all watched the T-Rex come after Ian. Get out of there, Ian, Deku said next as Ian continues to make a run for it from the pursuing T-Rex. Gennaro was praying, but as soon as he hears the stomping coming his way and he slams the door of the stall shut. But the T-Rex smashes through bathroom building, making the whole place come down, and Ian gets buried after getting knocked down. Lastly, Gennaro so left exposed to the hungry T-Rex that stares for a moment, and then the T-Rex chomps Gennaro, who then screams and the T-Rex swings him around. Some of the audiences look away from this scene. Oh, that PP and cowardly lawyer is so done for, Kaken said smirking. Deku write the fate of Donald Gennaro, died after getting devoured by the T-Rex. On the wrecked Explorer, Alan is doing everything he can to get the kids out and manage to get Lex out only due to Tim being stuck. Before Alan can get Tim out, he gets interrupted by Lex's screams when she saw the T-Rex coming their way, and Alan covers her mouth, then tells her to keep still so the T-Rex cannot see them. Can that Lex just shut up already? She is scared, young Bakugo, All Might tells him. Whatever. The T-Rex stops right in front of them and it looks at them. When the T-Rex breathes, it blows Alan's hat off, and yet Alan and Lex remain still so the T-Rex won't harm them. The T-Rex then spun the wrecked Explorer around as the T-Rex noticed Tim still inside but no way to get him. It decide to push the Explorer over the edge. Alan and Lex need to rappel down as the T-Rex continues to push the Explorer closer over the edge. Lex panics and grabs Alan by the neck tightly. Sheesh, they really need to grab another wire so Lex doesn't choke Alan, Toru said. Well, they are about grab another wire and they better hurry, otherwise they'll both be killed when that Explorer falls on top of them, Shoto said as they continue watching. And we're all sure they'll get Tim out later on. Alan swings around for Lex to grab the second wire and nearly got hit by the falling Explorer with Tim still inside that lands in the trees below. The T-Rex makes one last roar before the scene ends here. We're back at the control room at the visitor center where Arnold is trying to figure out how to reactivate everything in the island. Arnold said that the only way is to go through the computer's lines of code one by one. Ellie asked how many are there, and the answer is about 2 million of them. John asked Muldoon if they can bring back his grandchildren, and Muldoon will do it and Ellie will be going with him. Next, Arnold said that he is unable to get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedri. Well, that's just great, Kaken said after realizing that Nedri is the only one who can reactivate Jurassic Park. Dennis is still away trying to deliver those stolen bios at the East Dock, Tokoyami said next. Let's just hope he doesn't, Momo said, but they will. What happens when Dennis encounters a Dilophosaurus in the end? Dennis still trying to drive his way toward the East Dock and he should been there by now. Dennis loses his concentration when he looks out the window and was approaching a white fence. He tries to steer his Jeep away but too late, he crashes and he gets stuck on a fallen tree. He steps out after seeing his tire stuck. The good news is he sees the East Dock straight ahead. Looks like he found his destination. You're right, Midnight, but first things first is getting his Jeep Wrangler out, because he's not walking there, All Might said to her. But something tells me he will never make it to the East Dock, Aizawa said, and that's because they are about to see the Dilophosaurus this time. Dennis only has a small amount of time left. He grabs a rope in the front of the Jeep to tie it to a tree at the bottom in order to free his Jeep. But a moment of laughter for the audiences. Dennis slips and falls down to the bottom where he lost his glasses. Well, he continues to as he managed to tie the rope to the tree, but from behind him something jumps past him without him noticing. What the heck was that? Uraraka wonders alongside the others. Maybe a dinosaur we haven't seen yet, Jiro said to her. The Dilophosaurus shows itself this time and Nedri walks away from it nervous after seeing it behind the tree, but the Dilophosaurus follows him. Dennis wonders what it wants and tells the Dilophosaurus he's got no food. Dennis grabs a stick to see if the Dilophosaurus interested in that kind of fun, and he throws it, which the Dilophosaurus looks toward the direction where it landed, but the Dilophosaurus show no interest in it and looks back at Dennis. The Dilophosaurus finally, Denki said, because they haven't seen that dinosaur yet. Let's just hope that Dilophosaurus kills Dennis to prevent those stolen bios from falling into the hands of those rival companies, Kakin said, and everyone is hoping that Villains, which are the rival company, doesn't get what they want, but the Dilophosaurus will only kill for food. We are about to find out what happens next, Recovery Girl said next as they watch what the Dilophosaurus is about to do. As Dennis climbs back up to the jeep, the Dilophosaurus follows him, and when it finally caught up to him, he stares at him again and then gives everyone a jump scare when it opens its neck frill and snarls at Dennis and spits black acid at him. But the first one was unsuccessful, but the second was successful on hitting him in the face and starts burning his eyes, and Dennis starts screaming on pain, then wipes some of it off his face and eyes. Bullseye. Ijiro and everyone cheer on the Dilophosaurus to kill Dennis, who's screaming in pain due to the black acid in his eyes. Yeah, go Dilophosaurus. Itsuka cheered too. Kill the big. Kakin said too. Dennis attempts to get back in his jeep but bumped into his jeep's door and falls down, but in the process he loses his Barbasol with the stolen bios, which falls down the waterfall. Dennis gets back into his jeep and shuts door thinking he is safe. Then the Dilophosaurus, who somehow entered the passenger seat, appears again, and the Dilophosaurus makes one last snarl and kills Dennis, and the Barbasol gets buried in mud. Well, now the Dilophosaurus just prevented those rival companies from getting their hands on those Dinome bios, but unknowingly, All Might said, smiling with everybody, that Dilophosaurus killed Dennis, so the rival company doesn't get what they want. That's good news. The bad news is without Nedri there is just no way to reactivate Jurassic Park, Deku said as he writes the fate of Dennis Nedri, killed by a Dilophosaurus while trying to deliver the stolen bios to the rival company at the East Dock. The Dilophosaurus unknowingly prevented a rival company from creating their own Dinosaurus for money. You're right, young Midoriya, and the dinosaurs are all free from their paddocks. Alan and Lex have her safely down from the wall, and Alan looks up at the tree where the explorer is and calls out to Tim, but no answer. Alan tells Lex to wait for him until he gets Tim out and tells her to stay where she is for now. Alan calls out to Tim and then climbs up to get to Tim at the explorer. When he finally made it, he finds Tim pretty much alive and opens the door to step inside and asks Tim if he is okay, and Tim said he puked while stuck in there. After talking is over, they get outside, but Alan moves the wheel, making the tire move. Oh dear! What is it, MT lady? You all do realize something bad is going happened once they try to make their way down, and lady answer Kamui Woods. Well, their answer is while Alan and Tim talk a little when suddenly the explorer behind them moves like it feels like it's going to fall on top of them. They quickly descend as the explorer falls toward them but comes to a stop after crashing into another branch. Time to hightail out of the tree before the explorer crushes all of you, Ijiro said as the Alan and Tim continues down. The explorer continues plummeting toward them, and it eventually comes to another stop, making Alan think they are free to keep moving, but the explorer tilts and falls on top of Alan and Tim, but with some luck they are unharmed thanks to the shattered roof of the explorer, but at least they are not at the tree now. I call that luck, Shoto said, because they are safe from being crushed thanks to the big hole on the roof of the explorer that the T-Rex made. Tokoyami said, feeling relief with the others. Muldoon and Ellie arrives but realize one explorer is missing and tries calling out to Alan, and when they went to wrecked bathroom they found the remains of Gennaro. Then they hear the roar of the T-Rex wandering anywhere it wants. They eventually found Ian alive but injured in the legs. They hear the T-Rex's roar again and it's getting close to them now. Ellie continues to look around while Muldoon helps Ian back in the jeep, but Ellie sees the wrecked explorer on the bottom, and so Ellie and Muldoon went to investigate, but they found it empty because Alan and Tim with Lex already left the area. I afraid you missed them leave the area, but right now you all need to leave now before the T-Rex returns, Aizawa said, because they all know the roar is the sign the T-Rex is going to return now. What body part remains of Gennaro did they find? Nobody wants to know. It's Suka. Okay, Uraraka. Back in the jeep, Ian could feel the tremors, which is the sign the T-Rex is returning, and tells Ellie and Muldoon they got to get of here. Ellie and Muldoon manage to make it back and starts the engine as the T-Rex stomps its way out of the trees and roars at the fleeing jeep. T-Rex is back for round 2. Deku said, don't forget that the T-Rex is the fastest dinosaur and it probably can catch up to them, Uraraka noted to everyone. Still, it would be scary if we heard tremors in the puddle of water or from a glass of water knowing it was the T-Rex coming our way, Toru said, and it's true if they heard some tremors in the water, which could mean it's the T-Rex. Ian said they must go faster as the T-Rex pursues them, and Ian backs away but lands in the gearshift and thus slowing the jeep down, and Ellie tells everyone to get down to when they nearly hit their heads on massive tree branch that destroys their windshield, and the T-Rex just crashes through it without even slowing it down. The T-Rex rams the jeep with its head in order to knock it over but fails as Muldoon floors it, and the T-Rex lags behind and eventually gives up the chase. Well, at least the T-Rex do have signs of giving up in case they couldn't catch up with their prey, Midnight said. The part where the T-Rex didn't slow down after crashing into a tree was very interesting. That shows the T-Rex is very strong, Lita said, because he was intrigued about the T-Rex not slowing down after crashing into a tree. Lita, you're fast. You think the T-Rex can catch up with you? I don't think so, Shoto, because my speed is quirk. Alan, Lex and Tim continue walking as they hear the roar of the T-Rex. They decide to get up to a tree so the T-Rex can reach them at all. When they reach the top, they get an incredible view of the area and they spot the herd of Brachiosaurus again. Alan gets their attention by hooting to them, and the Brachiosaurus herd looks at them. Although Lex is afraid of them, that's because her lack of knowledge with the difference between meat and plant eaters. It looks good to see the Brachiosaurus again, Deku said, smiling alongside the rest of audiences. Even Eri is cheering to see the Brachiosaurus again with the baby triceratops in her hands. After this, Alan leans on the branch with Tim and Lex nestle up next to him, and Alan accepts them. Alan then pulls out the fossil of the Velociraptor claw that he got to Montana. Lex asks him what's he going to do when he retires digging up dinosaur bones now. Alan wasn't sure yet, but he guessed they just have to evolve too. Tim jokes about blind dinosaur, which Alan chuckles. Alan said he will stay awake all night when Lex asks if they see the T-Rex again. Alan then throws his Velociraptor claw away, meaning he will now move on, as another hoot of the Brachiosaurs is heard again, plus he finally bonded with the kids. Looks like Alan will move on now and he has finally bonded with the kids, Recovery Girl said, and everyone is finally happy, except for Kakin, who pays no mind of this. Plus I think Alan will move on when he's done with fossils, Mina said, because they will all move on when they are done saving the world from villains. Back at the visitor center, Ellie joins Hammond, who is eating in the restaurant. Ellie tells that Ian is fine thanks to the morphine. They talk about some things like Nedri was mistake, but nobody could have known he was helping a rival company anyway. The conversation turns bad when a saddened Ellie gets to the point that nobody, including him, ever had control, and that was the illusion. The only thing that matters is the people they love. The audiences have nothing to say about this, but they all choose to believe in Ellie's words. It's close to dawn and everybody is still asleep when the Brachiosaurus arrives to feed. Alan was happy to see one, and Lex awakens sacred, but Alan tells Lex the Brachiosaurus is friendly. Alan hands a branch the Brachiosaurus, which it responds to a loud honk, startling everyone, even the audiences, and it takes a bite. After it was done, the Brachiosaurus moves away while Lex tries to be friendly toward that Brachiosaurus when it suddenly sneezes at her, soaking her wet. Tim said, "God bless you," and the audiences laugh at this funny part. Gesundheit, Denki said, still laughing with Mineta. Alan, Tim and Lex walks to head back to the visitor center. While the kids bicker, Alan climbs over a fallen log because he sees something, and the kids go back to him to check out what he sees. What Alan have found is dinosaur eggs. The dinosaurs are breeding. Tim says that John said all of the dinosaurs are all females, and how is this possible? Alan says it's amphibian DNA. What Alan remembers on the tour that Ingen used frog DNA to fill in the gene sequence gaps, mutated the dinosaurs' genetic code and blended it with the frogs. Alan guessed the species of West African frog are known to spontaneously change SEC from male to female in a single SEC environment. This could mean that now there will be males in every one dinosaur in Jurassic Park so they can breed. Malcolm was right after all. After seeing the footprints leading away from the nest, Alan says, "Life found a way." "Hey Azui, you think your frog DNA quirk can do this as well? Change genders?" Denki and Mineta ask Azui, who responds by smacking them both with her tongue. "Dumb question, you too, because I can't even switch my gender." Back in the visitor center once more, there are tension now because John Hammond wants to shut down the system, which Arnold finds it as a very bad idea because Nedri have covered his tracks far too well, and knowing he is not around anymore, but they don't know a Dilophosaurus just killed him. John believes if they shut it down and reactivate it, everything will come back online in the end. Does John believe everything will come back online if they shut it down and then put it back online? That can be just a theory, Deku, Momo answered his question. Arnold said they don't if that theory is possible because they never shut down the entire system before and it may not come back on at all. Ellie said they would get the phones back, but like the last question, that's just a theory, and Muldoon talk about the lysine contingency, which John says that's out of the question, and as Arnold talks about that, John gave him some convincing to shut down the system after telling him people are dying out there. I guess Arnold will be doing it now, Azui said. We all just hope any of the theories are correct and wrong at the same time, Jiro said, next waiting to see what happens. We are all about to find out, everyone, because the dinosaurs are all running rampant all across Isla Nublar now. Aizawa mentions because some of the dinosaurs are free from their paddocks, so doing this may already be too late anyway. Arnold unlocks and opens a switchboard, which are 3 switches, pulls down each one that shuts off each of the computers, and the last one shuts off the lights and everything goes dark in the process. Arnold says, "Hold on to your butts," because he is about to pull the switch back up to on, but nothing came when he did. Was that supposed to turn everything back on? Ejiro questioned because nothing came back on when Arnold set the switch back to on. It isn't over yet, Red Riot, All Might said as they move to what happens next scene. Arnold then looks at a beeping sound in one of the computers and it says system ready, and he says it worked, but Ian asks what does that mean because everything is still off. Arnold believes the shutdown tripped the circuit breakers. All that needs to be done is turn those back on to reboot a few systems, which are the phones, security doors, and half a dozen others, and Muldoon asks where are the breakers, and Arnold's answer is the maintenance shed on the other end of the compound, and he's got 3 minutes to get everything to come back online in the end. John tells everyone to be in the emergency bunker until Arnold returns, but sadly nothing will go as planned. Well, at least we get some good news now, Midnight said, feeling relieved. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Why is that, Shoto? Because Mineta, I think the dinosaurs is about to interfere with this plan to reactivate the system. That dinosaur will be the Velociraptors. Elsewhere, Alan, Tim, and Lex are still on their way back to the visitor center, but they halt when they see a herd of Gallimimus in front of them. After knowing what they are, Alan says that the Gallimimus look like they are fleeing from a predator, and Tim says they are flocking in their direction, and quickly Tim, Lex, and Alan run for it, or they will get stomped by the stampede of Gallimimus. Oh my, run for your lives, or you'll all get stomped by the Gallimimus stampeding your way, Recovery Girl said, as everybody is hoping that doesn't happen. Gallimimus are not meat eaters, they are plant and egg eaters. Kyoka said what the Gallimimus eat. Alan, Tim, and Lex continues running as most of the Gallimimus runs past them or avoid crashing into them as Alan, Tim, and Lex take cover behind a fallen tree as the entire flock of Gallimimus gets past them. Suddenly from the large trees the T-Rex shows up, giving most the audiences a jump scare and attacks the fleeing Gallimimus. The T-Rex chomps one and finishing it off by twirling it around and killing it and ripping out a piece of flesh from it, while the rest of the other Gallimimus flees from the T-Rex, but one stands by and watch. Lex, scared, says they should just leave now, and Alan said they should keep low and follow him, and Alan grabs Tim when he was looking at the blood that the T-Rex feeding out of the dead Gallimimus. Yikes! Some of them said after seeing what the T-Rex did to that Gallimimus that tried to get away from it. Deku also writes the fate of that Gallimimus that tried to flee from the T-Rex, killed by the T-Rex while trying to flee. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of T-Rex yet. All Might said, but the T-Rex has plenty more scenes and screen time later on. Back in that bunker, Ellie walks down the stairs nervously and saying something happened and something's wrong. It's because the power never came back like it was supposed to, assuming something happened to Arnold when he tried to turn it back on. Ellie said she cannot wait anymore and says she will do it herself. Muldoon said he will be going with her, so he opens a steel cabinet and grabs a SPAS 12 shotgun and loads it up as Hammond pulls out a big blueprints which he can use to guide Ellie. You all get the feeling Arnold ran into trouble along his way to reactivate the system? Aizawa said to anybody who knows that. Most likely Aizawa, Midnight answered, and they will found later what happened to Arnold. Ellie grabs a pair of walkie-talkies that she needs to keep in contact. John asks for the walkie-talkie, which Ellie gives as John sets the walkie-talkie in the right channel in order for him to guide Ellie. Ellie and Muldoon exit the bunker and make their way toward the jungle, but then they notice broken electric wires from the Velociraptor paddock and sees footprints, which means the Velociraptors have escaped this time. Muldoon guessed that the shutdown that Arnold did must have disabled even the Velociraptor fences too, and knew Nedri never actually disabled the Velociraptor's paddock before because he knew they were dangerous. Anyway, him and Ellie make their way the maintenance shed. That's so not good now the Velociraptors are free from their paddock, Auntie Lady said, feeling horrified that the raptors are now free from their paddock. Then we can all believe that shutting down the system, which Arnold did because John asked him to, was a very bad idea after all, Kamui Woods said, and everyone nodded their heads in agreement. But still, it was the only way to reactivate the system that Nedri tampered with, and it's not like they knew doing this will eventually disable the Velociraptor's paddock and allowing them to grow free. Itsuka told everyone that nobody would have noticed this was going to happen anyway. Ellie and Muldoon are near the maintenance shed and she suggests they run, but Muldoon said they can't do that because they are being hunted by the Velociraptors in bushes straight ahead. Muldoon tells Ellie to head for the maintenance shed on her own, and he's got the Velociraptors to deal with himself. Muldoon tells Ellie to run now, and that's what Ellie does now. Get over there as fast as you can, Ellie, and don't pay attention if the raptors are right behind you or not. Tenya said, cheered for to run faster. You think Muldoon is going to survive this? We don't know, Ijiro, Tokoyami answered him, but the fact is Muldoon won't survive trying to kill the raptors. Ellie runs as fast as she can, like if there is a pack of Velociraptors are in pursuit of her. She goes over a log, through a puddle, and goes into the maintenance shed and slams the door shut behind her, and she made it. Ellie calls out to Arnold, but no answer, and she tells John on the radio she's in, and John begins to guide her where she needs to go to find the breakers. Whoa! She made it! Yes, she did, Eri, Izuku said to Eri. Hey, even if they manage to reactivate everything, the dinosaurs are still free to run rampant around the island. We already know that, Midnight. Just saying, All Might. Elsewhere, Alan, Tim, and Lex emerge from the jungle, and standing in front of the electric fence that's 30 feet high, Alan throws a branch at the fences but no electric shock, which means the power is completely off. Alan carefully touches the fences and plays a prank pretending to be electrocuted, and everybody laughs. It was all just a prank. Lex said that wasn't funny and Tim said that was great. Alan begins something on trying to open their way out to the other side, but the roar from the T-Rex is heard from behind them, which caused the three of them quickly climb up the fence before the T-Rex can catch up to them. Oh no! Jiro said. What the heck? Kaken said next. No new. Itsuka said last. That T-Rex is very persistent. All Might said. Back with Ellie, who continues making her way to the breakers but ends up in a dead end, but John and Malcolm directs her to the right direction and tells her to follow the pipelines and lights too. Meanwhile, Alan, Lex, and Tim continue to climb while chatting with each other, and Alan tells them it's not a race to the top, just to get away from the T-Rex. Back with Ellie again, she managed to find the breakers, and back with Alan, Tim, and Lex, they manage to get to the other side, but Tim lags behind. Rip it. I get the feeling something bad is going to happen since Tim is lagging behind. Yes, Azui, if Ellie gets that power back online, the electric fence will reactivate and Tim is going to get electrocuted. Toru warns her on what's going to happen Tim if the electric fence reactivates. John then tells Ellie to grab the flat and gray handle to charge it up, which she does 4 times, and next Ellie is told to press a round green button, and she does so, which lights up the breakers, and that also triggers the alarm on the fences, even the one where Alan, Tim, and Lex are at, but Tim's still up there, nearly slip and falls, but Tim hangs on tight. Next, Ellie press each of the red buttons to reactivated everything that goes on in the island. Alan and Lex tries to get Tim to jump, but he refused to do so while Alan counts to 3 as Ellie continues to press all the red buttons. Hurry up and get Tim out of there, or he's going to get fried once that fence reactivates. Achiko said she begins to panic. Hurry! Hurry, hurry! Mineta shouted 3 times. Alan was going to get Tim, but too late. Ellie finally reactivates all of it, and Tim, who was counting to 2, is sent flying after the electric fence reactivates and electrocutes him, but thankfully Alan was still able to catch him, and Alan told Lex that he is not breathing. You think Tim is going to be okay? We all hope so, Mina, Momo said to her. Ellie, who was happy, sees all the lights coming on, saying to John that everything is back in business, but her relief was cut short when a Velociraptor reveals itself from behind her, and Ellie screams in fear as it tries to break to the other side to get Ellie, and it did, but she shuts the door on it before bumping behind a door where a hand catches her attention and turns out to be Arnold's severed arm. I think we finally know what happened to Arnold now. Apparently on G's way to the breakers he ran into the Velociraptor that was already there and it killed him. All Might tells everyone what actually to Arnold on his way to the breakers. More importantly, how that Velociraptor get in there? Aizawa and everyone wonders. Izuku writes the fate of Ray Arnold. Ray Arnold killed by the Velociraptor while on his way to the breakers, and the only thing that's left of him is a severed arm. Ellie's horror over Arnold's severed arm is interrupted by the Velociraptor behind her, and it claws its way out of the chain door as Ellie, who broke her leg, keeps running while the Velociraptor lags behind her, and Ellie managed to make it outside and shuts the door with tears on her eyes. Why is Ellie limping? Denki asks and Shoto will answer. Ellie must have broke her leg during the struggle to get away from the Velociraptor. Meanwhile, Muldoon continues to hunt for the Velociraptor, which is the big one, and he found it. He notices another Velociraptor is sneaking up behind him, but he leaves his hat back on a log to distract it into thinking his hat was prey. Muldoon then readies his SPAS 12 and then takes aim at the big one. Unfortunately, before he can pull the trigger, that other Velociraptor that he supposedly distracted with his hat appears from his left side. Realizing his trick failed, Muldoon's last words is, "Clever girl." Muldoon turns to shoot at the other Velociraptor, but not fast enough as the Velociraptor tackles him and kills him by chomping him in his face as he screams. Back with the big one as Snake gets close to it. Looks like Muldoon is the one who got distracted. Izuku said as he writes the fate of Robert Muldoon. Robert Muldoon killed after getting ambushed by another Velociraptor while trying to kill the big one. How intelligent the raptors are, they can rarely get outsmarted, Momo said. Alan tries to revive Tim, who still hasn't woken up yet since being electrocuted by the reactivated electric fence. Alan repeatedly gives Tim some mouth-to-mouth and pumping his stomach while Lex watches and waits with tears in her eyes. Alan in the end succeeds on reviving Tim, who coughs after waking up and weakly says 3, which was his last number who was going to say right before being electrocuted. Oh, what a relief Tim is okay. Mina said, being happy that Tim survived. Could have been worse if he doesn't revive, because being electrocuted while quirkless can really kill a person. All Might mention how dangerous electricity can be if a person was quirkless or not wearing any protection from it. Alan, Tim, and Lex finally return to the visitor center, but nobody is home, and Alan said he will need to leave both Tim and Lex for now because he needs to find the others. After Alan left to find the others, Tim and Lex grab something to eat while they wait. Meanwhile, Alan finds Ellie and they reunited. Well, there's nothing like an empty stomach, Ijiro commented while looking at Mina, who likes seeing Ellie with Alan. Well, you need to eat while waiting, you know, Uraraka said, because that's what everybody should do while they are waiting. Meanwhile, Tim and Lex continues enjoying their eating, but Tim stops after noticing Lex is shaking in fear while holding her spoon with a green jello. When Tim turns around, he sees the shadow figure of a Velociraptor. Tim and Lex run to the kitchen to hide, but the Velociraptor follows them there. Meanwhile, Alan loads up a SPAS 12 and asking Ellie if the third Velociraptor is contained. Ellie answers yes, unless they know how to open the doors. That's so not good. And that is disgusting, blowing their nose on the small little window, Momo said to Shoto. Something else, do raptors know how to open doors? Most likely Denki, thanks to their intelligence, Shoto answered him. And that's what happened. The Velociraptor opens the door and enters. Lex asked him what the dinosaur is, and he says it's a Velociraptor. The Velociraptor looks around the kitchen and makes a very loud roar call, which Tim and Lex cover their ears due to the loudness of the raptor. Even the audiences cover their ears too, but most of them don't. The second Velociraptor appears and they start walking, and Lex tells Tim to follow her while they crawl. 2 Velociraptors, which means they can eat both Tim and Lex if they can catch them, Deku said as the scene continues. Tim, Lex, and the 2 Velociraptors continues walking and crawling, but Tim and Lex halt for the raptors not to notice them, but as they continue they go faster because the Velociraptors knock some of the frying pans on top of them with their tail. As Tim and Lex hide again, the Velociraptor looks at the other side after knocking a plastic box, but their prey are not there. Suddenly a scoop spoon falls on the floor, which catches their attention. Lex continues onward as the Velociraptors do as well, but one gets up in the table. Tim hides on the other side and Lex tells him to follow her, but no can do otherwise he'll catch the Velociraptors' attention, which they will, but what one is doing is playing with the scoop spoon with its tongue. Oh boy, Mineta said. "You're screwed, Tim, if the Velociraptor catches a sight of you," Kakin said next. Thankfully, Lex catches their attention by making noise with another scoop spoon, and the two Velociraptors turn their attentions toward her. Lex tries to hide under the table but unable to close it shut, and the Velociraptor sees her and charges at her as she screams, but when the Velociraptor lunges and bangs its head because it hasn't noticed that it was looking at Lex's reflection actually, and the audiences laugh at that funny part. Now that was very funny that the Velociraptor banged its head never knowing that was Lex's reflection that it was looking at, Emilady said while continuing to laugh. "I bet that's going to give that Velociraptor a major headache." "You said it, recovery girl," Midnight said while continuing to laugh. Lex crawls as fast as she can while Tim looks up next to him knowing the second Velociraptor is still there. Tim stands up and runs, then the Velociraptor pursues him and they both run inside the freezer, which gets the Velociraptor distracted, and Tim tries to run but unable to due to the slippery floor, but was able to get away and close the door on the Velociraptor thanks to Lex's help, and they lock the door shut on the Velociraptor. Safe for now, Lex and Tim exits the kitchen, but the Velociraptor that bang its head sees them and will follow them as the kids reunite with Ellie and Alan. They will head for the control room to finish one last job. "I guess that Raptor is going to get frostbite while trapped in the freezer," Shoto joked. "We know, Shoto, but they still one more Raptor to deal with," Momo said about the second Raptor, who is still up. They make it to the control room and said they need to reboot the system first. Alan talked about the door locks but noticed the Velociraptor on the window and attempts to open the door, but Alan stops the handle. Then the Velociraptor pushes the door hard, causing Alan to drop the SPAS 12 and attempt to hold the Raptor off, and Ellie comes to his aid. Lex then gets on the computer and says she knows the system and she will find the right file. "Lex better hurry before that Raptor breaks through the door," Tenya said. Alan tells Ellie to try and reach the SPAS 12, but she unable to while Lex tries to find the right file, and the Velociraptor is near entering the door, but Alan was able to shut the door on it and it tries again, and Lex was able to find the right file this time and reboots the system, causing all of the security system to reactivate, and the door forcibly shuts and locks, completely leaving the Raptor outside the control room. The audience cheers for Lex's succession as Alan picks up the phone and calls John and Malcolm. Alan asked John to call mainland and tell them to send them the helicopter to pick them. "Now they can get out of here," Uraraka said, cheering. "You know that Raptor was very strong in pushing a door open. All Might compliments it." "It isn't over yet, by the way," Midnight said to everyone. "We all know, Midnight," Azui said, as they will see the rest of the film. Suddenly the conversation on the phone gets interrupted by a crash in the glass window, meaning the Velociraptor found its way in by crashing into the glass, and Alan turns to shoot his SPAS 12, which John hears on the phone. Alan drops the SPAS 12 after it jams and grabs a ladder to climb up to the ceiling as the Velociraptor crashes through window, and Alan kicks the ladder down, preventing it from following them up there. "I guess nobody ever thought about the windows after all," Deku said after seeing what just happened. "You got that right, Deku," Jiro said to him. The Velociraptor, being camouflage, looks up the ceiling, seeing its prey. It's up there and pops its head through it, lifting Lex into the air as she screams, and Alan kicks the Raptor twice and it tumbles back down, and Lex too, but nearly as she was able to hang on, Alan was able to pull Lex back before the Velociraptor can bring her down by biting her leg. "That was close call," Toru said after seeing that. Alan and the gang arrive where the skeletons are and climb back down, but runs into another Velociraptor waiting for them. The survivors slowly climb down on the Alamosaurus skeleton, but the Raptor leaps onto it, breaking it apart, and everyone holds on for dear life as the pieces spin. Alan tells Tim to let go and he tumbles down in a safe landing. Then Lex came next, but she was still holding on to the pieces of the skeleton. Ellie next, but survives the fall as she covers her head from falling debris, and Alan is the last one come down with the rest of the skeleton. The audiences have nothing to say about this, but this was an interesting survival situation. Next, as Ellie stands up, she sees another Velociraptor coming out of the white curtain. As Alan picks up Tim, Lex screams after seeing another Velociraptor coming for them. Both Raptors corners them with nowhere to escape them, as the one Velociraptor is ready to pounce at them for the kill. "Oh, not good. Is there anyone who can help them?" Mina wonders. Before the Raptor who pounces can reach them for the kill, suddenly the T-Rex appears and chomps and kills it with its powerful jaws. The T-Rex then drops the dead raptor and feeds on it, but interrupted by the other Velociraptor who attacks it. Alan, Ellie and the kids make their escape while the two dinosaurs are occupied fighting, and Alan tells John said will not endorse the park. John said so have he. The fight continues and the T-Rex violently swings its head, causing the raptor to loses its grip and slide downs, and the T-Rex chomps its jaws at it and killing it and flings the raptor into the T-Rex skeleton, demolishing it completely. The T-Rex then roars in victory as the sign when dinosaurs ruled the earth comes down. Whoa, the T-Rex have been following Alan, Tim, and Lex the whole time. Denki said. Plus this is the only time the T-Rex becomes heroic, even it didn't know it just saved the humans from the Velociraptors anyway. All Might said, and it's true, the T-Rex unknowingly just saved the survivors. Izuku writes the fates of the two Velociraptors, both killed by the T-Rex while trying to kill the surviving humans. Eri was cheering with the baby triceratops in her arms. You know what, I think it was good that the T-Rex followed Alan, Tim and Lex, because if it hadn't they would be dead at the hands of the Velociraptor. Mina said what would have happened if the T-Rex did not follow them in the first place. Finally making it to the Ingen helicopter that's waiting for them, and everyone boards but Hammond, who he can hear the Brachiosaurus looks at the remains of Jurassic Park one last time before Alan tells him to come on, they are leaving. John said before that Jurassic Park was supposed to open next year, but it all went to waste, all because of interference by Ingen's rivals. I guess the plan to open Jurassic Park next year isn't going to happen after all. Midnight commented what was supposed to happen isn't going to happen after all. It's all gone to waste, all because of a greedy rival company who interfered. All Might commented next. Still, it's good that Alan and rest of the gang are alive, and the good news is Isla Nublar will become a nature preserve for the dinosaurs. Midnight said to them, and they agree with her. On the way out of Isla Nublar it's quiet and silent, unlike on the way in. John idly gazes at the mosquito-bearing amber on the end of his cane. Malcolm is silent as well. Ellie gazes at Alan sleeping with both Lex and Tim, who are sleeping. Against him, the audience is like that Alan has really bonded with the kids now. Alan wakes up and smiles at Ellie, and she does so. Alan looks out the window as flock of condors fly past them, and the film ends with the helicopter flies off in the distances as the sun comes down. The audiences clapped their hands. Well, I'm glad that's finally. Are we allowed to head home now? Toru asked, but a white sign standing where the baby triceratops egg used to be that says, "It isn't over, there will be a second film to watch, and for now they can all have a break for a now until they are ready to watch the next one." "Oh, look, some merchandise," Uraraka said after seeing some merchandise stuff, which everyone started grabbing things they want. Deku grabs a replica of Alan Grant's hat and wears it, but after seeing Eri next to him he puts the hat on her head and she likes it. Eri was picking some toy dinosaurs which are from the film, but some that were not from the film. "Looks like we also got some dinosaur toys that were not in the film at all," Denki said, playing with a Carnotaurus figure which wasn't from the film at all. Tokoyami on the hand is picking dinosaurs that have dark colors. Deku grabs a toy of the Triceratops while watching Eri play with the baby Triceratops with her. "Tell me about Denki," Mineta said, playing fights with the T-Rex toy with the Carnotaurus toy that Denki has with him. "And we also got some statues of the characters and dinosaurs too, even the skeletons of the dinosaurs too. Also some vehicles as well." Momo said she and Kyoka take a good look with the others and they take a photograph of them. "Wait a second, was that camera with you the whole time, Jiro?" "Yeah, Azui." "Well, at least we can tell everybody about this when we get back home," Mina said to them. "You know what, Kamui Woods, if I can use my quirk I can be the same size as the T-Rex and Brachiosaurus too," ME Lady said to him, getting ideas about being in the same size as T-Rex and Brachiosaurus. "That would have been interesting, ME Lady, but sadly we are forbidden from using our quirks." "I know that." "All right, break over, let's take our seats and watch the next film, The Lost World Jurassic Park," All Might said after their 16 minutes of break time is over. "Let's just hope the second film can give us some new dinosaurs like these toys we didn't see in the first film at all." Kaken wonder if they will see some new dinosaurs, and the good news, they will see some new dinosaurs in Lost World Jurassic Park. "We are all about to find out, young Bakugo," All Might said as the entire room goes dark and the film starts. A 135-foot luxury yacht is anchored just offshore in a tropical lagoon where the beach is, and it looks deserted. Or doesn't it look deserted at all? The island is identified as Isla Sorna, which is 87 miles southwest of Isla Nublar. Isla Sorna? That must the neighboring island next to Isla Nublar. All Might answered Izuku's question. While crew works with the Bowman family, Paul and Mrs. Bowman's 7 or 8-year daughter Kathy wander off down the beach, which is actually a bad idea, and Kathy's mom tries to tell her not to wander off and tells her that she can find shells here, but Kathy keeps wandering off. Paul tells his wife to leave her alone and tells her that there are no snake on the beach and says to just let Kathy enjoy herself for once. Why are the Bowmans even in Isla Sorna? Uraraka wonders why are they even there to begin with. Maybe perhaps they have no idea about Jurassic Park. More to the question is, does Isla Sorna have any dinosaurs in it? I think we are about to find out. Momo. Shoto answered that they will find out if Isla Sorna have any dinosaurs in it. Meanwhile, Kathy continues to wander away, unaware of the danger that she will putting herself into. She stops after hearing a rustle coming from the jungle. Eventually, the culprit making the rustle in the jungle reveals itself to be a lone Compsognathus who just stares at her as Kathy greets it a friendly manner, unaware that the little dinosaur is really a predator. Compsognathus, or Compy for short. Izuku identifies the little dinosaur and sketches it. No. And oh Kathy, that little Compy may look cute, but that little dinosaur is really a predator. Toru panic trying to tell Kathy to stay away from the Compy knowing it's a predator. She doesn't know that everyone. Aizawa tells everyone that Kathy is unaware of the Compy's true nature of being a predator. Kathy wonders what the Compy is and asks if it's hungry and offers it her goldfish cracker to it, and the little dinosaur takes a bite out it. Kathy then calls out to her parents to check out the Compy she found. But when she turns around, her smile fades when she sees more Compys that surrounds her in a semicircle as her mother calls her lunch is ready, unaware that she is in danger. Oh no! Kaken said, knowing the horde of Compys now view Kathy as prey. Kathy tries to tell the Compys that she needs to leave now, but the aggressive Compys then closes in to attack her, and Kathy screams, which caught her father's attention when he quickly puts down his newspaper. Apparently her parents and the crew all heard her screams as the Compys attack her. Paul leaps out of his chair and calls out to Kathy. Oh, don't just stand there calling out to Kathy and listening to her cries for help. Get over there and help your daughter, or the Compys will kill her for food. Kamui Woods shouted at them not stand there and try make out with all the commotion. Everyone race off to come and help Kathy as her screams continues. Mrs. Bowman stops as she let loose a horrified slack-jawed scream, her mouth a perfect oval. The audiences will know later that Kathy didn't die in the attack by the Compys. She survived, all thanks to her parents and their crew who came to aid in the end. Eri panics and runs her arms around Izuku with the baby triceratops because she imagines it's her who's being attacked by the Compys instead of the Kathy. It's now over now, Eri, we move into the next scene. Uraraka tells Eri they move on to the next scene now. We are in New York now in the subway where we see Dr. Ian Malcolm, which surprises the audiences when they recognizes him as he enters the train, where he greeted by curious man who knows him because he has seen him on TV and he might know about Jurassic Park. The audiences have nothing to say about this scene except being happy to see Ian Malcolm again. Well, nothing much we can say about this scene except that we are happy to see Ian Malcolm again, and we all agree he's the protagonist of this lost world Jurassic Park, Izuku said. Next scene, Ian arrives at John Hammond's home where he greeted by his butler and none other than Tim and Lex, who happily greeted him with a hug. Many years have passed since the first film. Now Tim and Lex are growing up. Next up, they meet Peter Ludlow, who was the nephew of John Hammond, and he is now in charge of Ingen after John was removed from power. Peter said to Ian that he is here to tell a few campfire with his uncle. What they are talking about is about the truth of what really happened in Jurassic Park. Wow, Tim and Lex are now growing up, Denki said, feeling happy to see Tim and Lex once more. I take it that Peter Ludlow is the main antagonist here. Melissa deduced this. What makes you say that, Melissa? Because Izuku, Peter makes his own truth about what really happened in Jurassic Park while Ian tells the real truth on what really happened. That makes sense. It would seem Peter Ludlow is fighting for power on Ingen with Hammond removed, David said next. Peter tells Ian that he is lucky that he didn't sue him since he was signed a non-disclosure agreement before he was in the island that expressly forbid Ian from discussing anything he saw there because it can violate the agreement. Ian knows that Peter lied, which the audiences nod there in agreement with Ian that Peter only lied about the truth on what really happened in Jurassic Park originally, but Peter only dismisses it as Ian's own version of the truth, and he said that everything that is a problem will be long forgotten, but Ian said not by him it won't before Peter and his men leaves. What a holy! We rather have Ingen run by good people instead of those with bad intention. You got it, Bakugo, Jiro said to him, because they don't bad people to run Ingen for any bad intention like the turning the dinosaurs into weapons or for greedy things. Ian finally meets with John, whose health is starting to deteriorate, and tells him about the incident in Isla Sorna, which was known as Site B. He reveals the Bowmans have stumbled upon the island where they encounter the Compis, but thankfully Kathy survived her attack. John reveals that Isla Nublar was the showroom, something for the tourists, and Isla Sorna was the factory floor. There they bred the dinosaurs, nursed them until they were a few months old, and then they moved them into Isla Nublar. Some time ago, Hurricane Clarice wiped out Site B, and they call it an act of God. Everyone had to evacuate and the dinosaurs were released into the wild to mature on their own. John mentions that he has formed a team to get to Isla Sorna, which Ian is completely against the idea. The team will be Nick Van Owen, who is a video documentary, and Eddie Carr, who is a field equipment specialist, and one more who is a paleontologist. John is trying to preserve Jurassic Park so the public opinion can prevent greedy companies from doing bad things to the dinosaurs. John then mentions Sarah Harding is also going to be in this, too much to Ian's shock. This caused Ian to reluctantly agree to be part of team, but only to get Sarah out of Isla Sorna. Oh, so Isla Nublar was only for tourists and Isla Sorna was the area where all of the dinosaurs are being cloned actually, Tokoyami said. John only wants a team in the island to be sure public opinion can help him reserve the island to keep greedy eyes away, Itsuka said next. Because the dinosaurs are just animals, not tools, Aizawa said. Don't forget, no fences for the dinosaurs now, so it's going to be dangerous setting foot there. Midnight mentions that there are no fences and dinosaurs are roaming free. We should all be grateful that Kathy survived her attack, Mina said, feeling relieved that Kathy survived, although she may have come out with injuries around her body caused by the Compis. We are Mina Ribbit. Next, Ian meets with Eddie in a large warehouse where the workmen make modification on several vehicles, which are two dark green Mercedes-Benz AV and other is two long trailers connected by an accordion-like passageway like on a subway car, allowing one to be towed behind the other. Wow, that's cool. Mercedes-Benz AV and the trailer too. Deku said sketches the two vehicles that Ian, Eddie and Nick will be using on Isla Sorna. Ian, Eddie and Nick talk while they get ready for their trip to Isla Sorna, and Nick said he is only here because of the ladies, which caused both Mineta and Denki to smile, much to Jiro's disgust on her wanting to earphone jack them both. Eddie opens metal case, pulls out a heavy silver rifle and aluminum canister hanging beneath the barrel. It is a Lindstrat air rifle that fires a subsonic flugger impact DLVRI dart, and they are lethal toxicity, which means it will kill. Ian asked if there is antidote, but Eddie said it wouldn't matter anyway because anyone would be dead before realize they had accident if they shot themselves on the foot. Yikes, I would keep myself out of the trigger finger if I was using one of those in my rifle. David imagines if he was using those. I would all prefer if that toxic doesn't fall to villain hands. David nodded his head to All Might after mention that they would never allow villains to get their hands on that. Next, Ian turns around to see who's calling to him. It was his daughter Kelly Malcolm, who comes running toward him, and they embrace each other, much to everyone's surprise because Ian never mentioned that he had a daughter who was African American. Kelly took long to get to her father because she couldn't get a taxi there. Well, now she is here. Ian would like to talk to her about something. Ian never really mentioned about his daughter before, Recovery Girl said. Most likely because they were separated or away from each, MT Lady said in theory. Well, looks like they back together now. Toru cheered. Kelly knows that Ian is going away again like he was before. Ian says he would leave her with Karen, but Kelly says she doesn't even know who she is. While they continue to talk, Eddie calls Ian 3 times. Kelly wonders if her father liked to have kids and just don't want to be with them. Ian says he didn't dump her here and split for Paris and tells her don't take it out on him. Ian winces immediately after knowing he just hurt her feelings. Ian apologizes to her and asks to look for good parental advice. Just don't listen to him, and heads downstairs to meet with Eddie. This moment with Kelly and Ian reminded Shoto of his life with his family. Guess being separated from each other for that long cause there. Relationship to become strained. I believe so, young Midoriya. While Ian and Eddie argue over something, Kelly circles around the trailers and slips in and looks around, seeing laboratories inside the trailer. Kelly finds a large map and sees the picture of Isla Sorna, which her father, Nick and Eddie will be heading. Looks like Kelly will be tagging along with them. Looks like Kelly will be tagging along with her father, Nick and Eddie after all, Shoto said. As a stowaway, Kaken said, because he knows that nobody will be aware that Kelly will be there with them. So the trio are heading for Isla Sorna on LCC boat. Along the way, Eddie readies his rifle while Nick speaks with the captain, whose son was trying to get his attention. Nick translate what the captain is saying to Ian and Eddie. It's about fishermen who came too close to the islands and never came back. The captain says he has radio and a satellite phone and says they can call him anytime to pick them up because he can't stay in the island that long. The last words that was translated by Nick when Eddie asked what that means, that answer is 5 deaths. Most likely nobody knew about Jurassic Park, David says. Ian, Nick and Eddie drive their trailer and 2 Mercedes through the grassy area, and then the scene changes where they are searching for the tracker that Sarah is carrying with her. Well, they find her bag and find the tracker inside it, but Sarah is nowhere to be found or seen. Ian and Nick started calling out to Sarah, but no answer at all. Isn't calling out to Sarah out loud dangerous because that's a good way to attract attention? Melissa wonders. True, Melissa, but sometimes you need to take a risk. Izuku answers her that risks should sometimes be taken. Next, Ian, Eddie and Nick hear something coming their way, but there was nothing to worry about. It was just a herd of Stegosaurus passing by. The audiences got excited that they get to see a new dinosaurs this time. The trio jolted when a Stegosaurus made a small roar walking past them. Nick starts taking photographs of the Stegosaurus herd as they made comments about them. Nick climbs up to get a better shot of the Stegosaurus herd, but Nick hasn't noticed Sarah is right in front of him, and Sarah startles him, and she was quite surprised to see Ian and Eddie as well. It's good to see some new dinosaurs, and Stegosaurus is new. Momo commented about seeing Stegosaurs while Izuku sketch out the Stegosaurus. Last time they are just toys for the first film, but now they get a screen appearance for Lost World, Jiro said with a smile. But still, the Stegosaurus can be dangerous because if they feel threatened they can hit their enemy with their spiked tail and it can really kill a person like a human. Midnight lectures them about the danger the Stegosaurus can be even though they are plant eater. So it's best we stay out of their way, Shoto said next. But at least they ran into Sarah anyway, Mina said next. After a short conversation, Sarah leaves again and the trio follows her behind, and Ian demands to know why didn't she say anything to him before. Sarah answers sounds like it's a dumb question. The conversation gets cut short with the noise the Stegosaurus make. Sarah decided to get another shot of them again and tells the trio to remain where they are despite Ian telling her no, but she goes anyway. She crawls behind large grass and rocks, but she runs into a baby Stegosaurus that was busy feeding, which Sarah happily greets while the trio watches her from distances. Sarah kindly touches the baby for a brief moment, which the female audiences find very cute to do and make adorable sound. Sarah takes one more photo, but the camera's auto-winder activates so loud while Sarah tries to shut it off, and the baby Stegosaurus gets startled by it, which alerts the adult Stegosaurus, who in turn goes after Sarah thinking she is threatening their baby. Ian tells Eddie to shoot them, but Eddie tells him that the Stegosaurus adults are only trying to protect their baby. Oh my, run for your life, Sarah, or the Stegosaurus are going to send you flying with their spiked tail. MT Lady shouted in panic. Sarah, trying to get away, gets confronted by the first Stegosaurus that takes a swipe with its spiked tail but missed before she crawls under a log as another Stegosaurus pursues her. As she crawls under the log, she is nearly hit by the Stegosaurus's spiked tail that nearly impaled her, and after that, Eddie tells Ian and Nick that the Stegosaurus herd are leaving now. Whoa, that was very close call, Kirishima said about nearly being hit by the Stegosaurus spiked tail. Tell me about it, Tokoyami said next. After this, everyone heads back to base camp, and on the way Sarah and Ian talk about things until Eddie alerts them that there's a fire. When they return and put it out, Ian wonders who starts the fire, and from the trailer was Kelly, who said she was only readying dinner when they return. See, I told ya that Kelly would come as a stowaway, Kaken said. Lastly, Ian and Kelly would need to talk again, Shoto said next. Ian is beside Kelly's presence. He keeps trying to make a call on the satellite phone that he got from the trailer. Kelly said that he practically told her to come here. Ian didn't understand that. Kelly mentions what he said to her before, believing he was trying to tell her something, but Ian tells her that she doesn't have idea what's going on in Isla Sorna and don't even know the danger she put herself into. Sarah then steps in, which is like she is siding with Kelly, and Ian said don't take her side, and Kelly is already aware what's going on in Isla Sorna. Ian wonders how. Kelly's answer is because he said so and maybe nobody else believed him, but she always did, which caused Ian to be touched by thus. Nick said to Eddie that Kelly scores with cheap sentiment. That's quite a family talk. All Might compliments that conversation between Ian and Kelly. Well, Kelly said she believed in her father after all, didn't she? Right, recovery girl. The conversation continues and Ian takes Kelly inside the trailer and he tells that anybody wants to tag along, it's their last chance. Well, Sarah gladly joins them inside the trailer. While Sarah and Ian talk about things, Kelly alerts them after hearing a thunderous sound. When they step outside to see, it turns out to be a squadron of helicopters that have Ingen markings on it. Eddie wonders why would Hammond send 2 teams. Ian took a guess it was Peter Ludlow's men who has arrived on the island with him. I get it, Ingen forces. Coming to Isla Sorna are the men loyal to Peter Ludlow, Momo deduces. Peter is really money hungry, Jiro said, and everyone nodded their head. Elsewhere, more Ingen vehicles on the ground are driving in an open field and Peter is giving orders for a base camp, but Roland Tembo tells him to cancel that order because of the worries of the meat-eaters hunting near large water, and Peter agrees to find a new spot to set up base camp. Lastly, Roland then tells of his 2 conditions. He says that Peter may be in command of this operation in Isla Sorna, but it's Roland who is in charge and Dieter is whenever he is not around. The second condition is his fee, which means he can at least catch 1 T-Rex, which is a male, and last words is okay? And Peter, who doesn't know what else can he say to Roland, says okay. Okay, so Roland is a big game hunter and he wants to catch a T-Rex for a trophy, but at the same time Roland in charge and not Peter, Izuku said. I also believe Roland gets to boss Peter around, Achiko said, but she seems to be interested on seeing Roland boss Peter around. You sound like if Roland bosses Peter around, his plan to make himself rich will be ruined. Yes, Denki. Next scene is a motorcycle and a Hummer jumping up in the air, joining the others, driving alongside a herd of Parasaurolophus, Pachycephalosaurus, Gallimimus, and 2 Mammonychosaurus. Roland holding papers of which dinosaur they want to catch, but alive. One of the motorcycles drives under the Mammonychosaurus. Well, the Ingen hunters won't be catching the Mammonychosaurus at all due to its size. Meanwhile, Burke and his friend gets off their vehicle to see the Pachycephalosaurus that a few of the Ingen hunters have cornered. While Burke and his friend keep talking about the Pachycephalosaurus, breaks out from being cornered and headbutts right into another vehicle, crunching the door close and sending the hunter flying right other side of the vehicle. Burke and his friend back to their vehicle when the Pachycephalosaurus sees them. They both ran past Roland and Peter. Nice to see new dinosaurs and the old ones, Deku said, sketching the Pachycephalosaurus and Mammonychosaurus. Oh, and that headbutt from the Pachycephalosaurus is got to hurt, Ijiro said as he and some of audience laugh. Next, a Hummer with a scissor rig comes after another Pachycephalosaurus. A hunter shoots a tranquilizer at it and the Hummer tosses another lasso around the Pachycephalosaurus and they subdue it with the scissor rig, the airbags on it to catch this one now while it makes a struggle to break free. Roland then asks Dieter and his friend Carter to catch the last one, which is the Parasaurolophus, but Dieter didn't hear that right, so Roland just describes it to him as the papers fly out to his hand. Dieter takes aim and shoots a sleeping dart at the Parasaurolophus that breaks off from the rest of the herd and is cornered by Ingen hunters. The Parasaurolophus has lassos on its neck and lifts a few of Ingen hunters into the air until it gets tripped into the ground and defeats it. Up on the cliffs, Ian, Nick, Eddie, Sarah and Kelly don't seem to like what Peter and his Ingen has just done at all. Even the audiences don't like it either, even though they have nothing to say about this. Later, Dieter is sweating after all that catching, so he pours water on himself using his canteen. Suddenly, a Compsognathus approaches after seeing the puddle near his foot, and Burke bends over to check it out and tells Dieter what the little dinosaur is. Dieter asks, is it dangerous, and Burke doesn't think so because the Compis usually just scavenges when it comes looking for food, as the little Compy happily sniffs Dieter's boot, lapping at the drop of water on his toe and not afraid of him. Burke believes it's because there haven't been any visitors on Isla Sorna for sure. Dieter then scares the Compy off after tazzing it with his shock stick. Dieter, that was very rude of you, Mina commented. Roland and Ajay are staring at an enormous footprint in the mud and ask Burke if recognizes it. Burke's answer is, it's a T-Rex. While Roland checks his double-barrel rifle, Peter starts calling to him and asks where does he think he's going, and Roland said to collect his fee, and Peter stops after stepping on the T-Rex footprint. Roland and Ajay keep going as they find dead dino bodies, and there they find the baby T-Rex that's busy feeding but stop for the moment after noticing them and looks up at them. Roland and Ajay look back knowing that the baby's parents won't leave him alone for too long, so they comment a plan to catch the adults when they return. Wonder what Roland and Ajay are up to this? Nothing good for sure, Melissa, Deku answered. Well, everyone was wondering what Roland and Ajay were up to and planning. Now they got their answer. There was the baby T-Rex pinned to the ground and crying out to its parents who has not yet showed up, while Roland and Ajay hide in the trees in guild suits. They are using the baby T-Rex as bait for the parents, but Roland only wants the male T-Rex as a trophy. Oh, so that's what Roland and Ajay were planning. You are right, young Midoriya. They plan to use the baby T-Rex as bait to lure the parents into a trap. But remember, All Might, Roland said he only wants the male T-Rex as a trophy and not the female. Midnight reminded him what Roland wants as a trophy. I know that, Midnight. But something tells me that Roland and Ajay are about to get interrupted, Momo said, and they will get an interruption. Meanwhile, Ian, Nick, Sarah, Eddie and Kelly are at the Ingen hunters camp hidden while they watch. What are they doing? Also, they notice the communication dish in the rear of the Humvee. Ian tells Kelly that they are planning to get the captured dinosaurs back to the mainland. Nick mentioned that they already been warned about Peter Ludlow and his men by John Hammond before, so they will go with the backup plan. Sarah asks what's the backup plan, and Nick answer is him. They are really going to plan a prison break, except it's dinosaurs, right? Certainly, Bakugo. They cannot allow Peter to get those dinosaurs back the mainland for his hunger for money, Shoto told him. This is the main reason why John Hammond wanted Peter's plan to be stopped, so the entire island can be nature preserved, Tenya said next. While Peter broadcast to the rest of the board of directors of Ingen, Sarah and Nick free captured Stegosaurus, baby Triceratops, Pachycephalosaurus, baby Stegosaurus, Gallimimus, Parasaurolophus, Compsognathus, and lastly the adult Triceratops by breaking open its padlock with a wrench cutter. Back with Peter, he shows everyone the model of what the theme park that's located in San Diego will look like. Suddenly, everybody runs after the Triceratops, smashes through the tent and capsizes the Humvee before the Triceratops roars and moves to attack anybody else, while the other dinos, like Gallimimus, Compys, Parasaurolophus and Pachycephalosaurus, make their way out of the camp. One of the burned vehicles explodes, which startles Dieter and catches Roland's and AJ's attention, and they are forced to get off the tree before the burning vehicle can crash on top of them. Nick then gets to the baby T-Rex and frees it, but takes it with him after noticing the injury it has on the right leg. Yay in your faces, Ingen hunters. Ijiro cheers as the dinosaurs are now free. Did you see the model of the theme park? We all did, Mina. But we can all agree that we don't want Peter's plan to succeed due to his hunger for money, Jiro said to her, and they all agree to that. Still, that was a close call for Roland and Ajay. Itsuka said, feeling entertained that Roland and Ajay avoided being crushed by a burning vehicle that flew up in the air. Still, we are all wondering what Nick is going to do to the baby T-Rex. Empty Lady wonders, but they will know in the next scene. In the aftermath, Dieter was being helped up by fellow Ingen hunters, and while Roland says that's the last time he leaves him in charge of everything. Sarah then sees Nick showing up with the baby T-Rex in his arms, and she asks him if he is out of his mind and does he know what he is carrying in his arms at all, as Nick tells her that the baby T-Rex has a broken leg and they need to get back to the trailer. Sarah only tells him that he's nuts and mutters that Ian isn't going to like this. Back with Dieter, Roland and Peter as a storm begins. Peter demands to know what is going on. Roland realizes they are not alone on Isla Sorna before tossing the broken padlock away. You think Roland isn't going to put Dieter in charge anymore? Well, Kamui would base on what Roland said to him, it's most likely, Eraserhead answered him. We need to see that baby T-Rex get back health soon. Recovery Girl was hoping they fix the broken leg of the baby T-Rex. We all do, but should any of them be worried about its parents who might be looking for it? Melissa asked them, but nobody said anything except for a pale look in their faces because they will see the T-Rex adults soon. Meanwhile, Eddie is preparing that high thing but wonders was that when Nick and Sarah drove past him because he heard the baby T-Rex. Ian and Kelly are trying to get a hold on the boat while inside the trailer but are interrupted by Nick and Sarah who shows up with the baby T-Rex. Kelly's scared and asks her father that she wants to be somewhere high while Sarah and Nick are working on fixing the baby T-Rex and Nick uses his belt to keep the baby T-Rex mouth shut. Sarah was able to locate the damage to the baby T-Rex's leg. I just hope they can fix the baby T-Rex before Mom and Dad can show up, Mineta said. Unfortunately, I bet the Mom and Dad T-Rex are already going to show up before they are done, Denki said, and they are about to see the parents very soon. Eddie wants to know what is going on but Ian said to just get them up and they are high up already, which makes Kelly feel better now. Ian and Kelly talking about old times but a familiar roar interrupts them. Ian knows the T-Rex adults are on their way to where their baby will be. Ask Eddie, is there any way they speak with the trailer? Eddie gives him a phone. Unfortunately, Sarah and Nick are too occupied to answer the phone. Ian decided to get down and get to trailer before the T-Rex adults can arrive, but Kelly asks if he can just stay while Eddie straps Ian so he can down safely. Ian tells Kelly that he will return and he gives her his word, which Kelly doubts that. Ian then gets down but it did look like he wasn't a safe landing, which Eddie muttered after he and Kelly looked down to see where Ian landed. Looks like the parents already on the way, which can spell trouble. All Might said knowing danger time caused by the T-Rex is already on the way, but this time they will see 2 T-Rex. The parents may already have their babies sent and they know where it is. We know Aizawa. Shame Sarah and Nick couldn't answer the phone when Ian is trying to warn them that the T-Rex adults are coming, Midnight said to him. It does look like Ian has to get to the trailer before the T-Rex adults can arrive, David said next, but the T-Rex adults will already be there the moment returns. Nick and Sarah continues to fix the baby T-Rex while back in with Eddie and Kelly they notice movement coming from the trees, which can actually be the T-Rex adults already on their way to the trailer. Lastly, there is Ian already hurrying back to the trailer and then another phone call from the trailer that nobody answers rings and Ian finally makes it back and says that they need to get the baby T-Rex out of here, but any objections gets interrupted when a loud noise erupts from outside and one of their Mercedes car gets knocked off the cliff. Ian says Mommy is very angry. They are here, Tokoyami said, knowing who actually knocked the Mercedes off the cliff. And we can agree that they are not happy that their baby was taken, Mina said while shacking with Eri. Ian, Nick and Sarah, now knowing the T-Rex adults are here, look out the window until they hear a growling from the other window, and there was the T-Rex and the second one from the other window. The T-Rex adults looks at their baby inside, but one of them gives a loud roar that caused Sarah to jolt in fright, and so did some of the audiences. The T-Rex that roared gave the rear side of a trailer a little push. Sarah said that the adults are not here to hunt, they are searching for their baby. So they choose give and return the baby T-Rex back to its parents, and Nick gets his belt back. Sarah felt joyful to see the baby finally reunited with its parents, except that's off screen. Yeesh, I could even jolt from that single roar made by that T-Rex even if it's 2 of them, Uraraka said, shaking after jolting from that roar. Well, at least they returned the baby back to its parents anyway, Melissa said to her. Maybe, but I don't think this is over yet. What I mean is, I believe the T-Rex adults aren't finished here yet. All Might noted to all of them because the T-Rex adults are about doing something that will endanger everyone inside the trailer. Eddie makes a call to Ian while at the high and Ian asks for Kelly and the phone is given to her. Ian tells her that he will return and tells not to move from that spot, and they both have an understanding. After putting down the phone, all of 3 of them talk for a while, and Ian is going to make another call to the boat but puts it down when he noticed the T-Rex adults are still out there and they are about to something very bad. That is, they tackle the rear side of the trailer and flips it upside down and begin to push the trailer off the cliff. Nick and Ian tried to push their way out through the door, but that doesn't work at all. Nick and Ian tells everyone to hang on to something as they are near the cliff, and that's what happened as the rear side of the trailer is hanging and a piece of it falls off. See, what did I tell you all? Yep, All Might. I believe the T-Rex adults did that as payback for taking their baby, even though Ian, Nick and Sarah didn't do that, but they don't know that, David said to All Might. Now the trio need to survive this, Midnight said next. Next, everyone is hanging for dear life, but Sarah loses her grip of the handle she was holding onto because it was cabinet that suddenly opens and Sarah lands on the glass that begins to crack. Ian and Nick tried to call out to her, but Ian has to get down to her because the more Sarah moves, the faster the glass will crack and she will fall to her death. While Ian goes to help Sarah, Nick tries to reach out to the satellite phone but no avail. Lastly, Ian tries to get Sarah's hand but she is trying to reach for her lucky pack. Nick was unsuccessful on trying to retrieve the satellite phone as it falls and Nick shouts heads up. The satellite phone crashes into glass breaking it to pieces but thankfully Ian was able to reach Sarah and her lucky pack. Meanwhile Eddie is on his way. Finally everyone is safe for now. That was close call for Sarah, Mina said feeling relieved that Sarah is safe. The bad news is, with the loss of the satellite phone there is no getting off the island now, Momo said because that satellite phone was the only way to call for help and get off their island. I'm pretty sure they will get off Isla Sorna somehow Momo. Izuku tells they will somehow get off the island. Eddie arrives and calls out to them but finds the rear side of the trailer hanging and enters through the broken windows of the front side of the trailer. Eddie asks what do they need and they say they need a rope to climb their way out. Eddie grabs a rope and ties it to a broken tree and gives it the trio but suddenly the trailer starts to budge and Eddie steps outside to see the front side of trailer is being dragged as well and Eddie grabs the cable from his Mercedes so he can pull the trailer to safety. Eddie trips and falls when the cable was short. Ian, Sarah and Nick attempt to climb their way up but the rope that was tied to the tree suddenly snaps causing the three of to fall back down. Eddie grabs the cable to tie it to the trailer but trips again and crawls his way to get the hook locked so he can pull the trailer. The last thing he does is re-tie the rope to the tree. After that's done he notices his Mercedes is being dragged as well and he looks at the trailer as it tips. Well, Eddie should have known about that he will obstacles when he was going to help the others, Kaken said. He already tripped and fell twice but he was still able to get the rope and cable on, Shoto said. The last thing he needs to do now and pull the trailer back up now, Denki said next, but he will be unsuccessful due to interruptions that's coming. He better get back in his Mercedes now before the trailer takes it with it, Mineta said next. Eddie gets back in his Mercedes and backs up to pull the trailer back up and away from the cliff. He changes every part of the speed and mode of his Mercedes just as he was able to get the front part of the trailer back up to the cliff. Now it's just the rear part. Back with Ian, Sarah and Nick who begin to climb back up again but slides down again. Eddie continues on his attempt to pull the trailer back up but stops after hearing tremors. That tremors is, the T-Rex adults have returned. Oh no. No. Mina can't believe the T-Rex adults have returned. I guess when they left, they just wanted to get their baby to safety then they will return to check their workout. Recovery Girl explains what the T-Rex adults were doing and planning. Shame Eddie isn't going to make it out of this. Aizawa assumes Eddie is going to die on this which will happen. The T-Rex adults take a good look inside the Mercedes and sees Eddie inside. Hungry the T-Rex adults both chomp the Mercedes apart in order to devour Eddie. Eddie keeps his feet in the paddle as the T-Rex adults continue to take the Mercedes apart as an airbag pops out. Eddie tries to get his rifle but the bad news the nozzle is stuck on the net and that means Eddie is done for. The T-Rex adult on the right grabs him by the foot and lifts him up, tosses him up in the air and the two T-Rex adults chomps and rips him in half and finally devours him for good. Izuku writes Eddie's fate is, half of him devoured by both T-Rex adults. Lastly, the trailer along with Eddie's Mercedes finally comes down from the cliff and crashes into the rocks and then explodes. Thankfully Ian, Sarah and Nick are safe and they climb up to safety but as a surprise they are helped by Roland and the Ingen hunters who becomes their friend and Kelly reunites with her father. Well, there goes Eddie alongside the trailer and his Mercedes, Itsuka said. Lastly, all of the Ingen hunters becomes their friend because they too are stuck in the island too, Momo said, but surely will find their way off Isla Sorna. Everyone is back in the Ingen hunters camp again. Roland said that their communication equipment has been destroyed and the radio and satellite phone went off the cliff along with the trailer, which means they are stuck in Isla Sorna because they have no way to contact anyone. Nick and Dieter pick a fight after getting too close with problems both of them caused. After breaking it up, Roland said that he knows Nick until Sarah steps in and says they need to find a way to get contact for a rescue team to pick them all up. Something tells me that Nick and Dieter wouldn't get along that well, Kamui Wood said after seeing the two pick a fight before the others break it up. They need to find a way off the island, but how without any equipment to use? MD Lady wonders how do they intend to get off the island without any equipment to use. Peter says there is a way to get contact for a rescue. It turns out there is an abandoned operation building, but there is a problem. Peter says Velociraptors are problems because in their path to the operation building is where the Velociraptors dwell. Sarah mentions the T-Rex will also be coming for them too. After the conversation and plan is set and done, Roland says it's time for them to leave and for the operation building and dismiss what happened to Eddie at the hands of the T-Rex adults. Well, looks like they got their way off the island after all. Yeah, Momo, but they have Velociraptors that will be in their path. Jiro mentions that their only obstacle will be the raptors. But it's good that we'll see the raptors again in this sequel, Tenya said, because once again they will see the raptors which appear later. The group begins their journey even in the rain again. Nick and Roland have a conversation and Roland said that his 2-barrel rifle is for the T-Rex that he will catch for his trophy, although Nick will be planning something to be sure Roland doesn't get what he wants. Behind them, Ian with Kelly talks with Peter saying that taking the dinosaurs off Isla Sorna is really a bad idea, and he is very serious about that because John Hammond wants the island to be a nature preserved. You got that right, Ian. Greedy people should just leave the dinosaurs alone, Deku said, because he agrees that the dinosaurs should be left in peace. Daytime and the group continues walking as they enter the forest. Roland notices blood in the leaves and says to everyone they will take a break just for 5 minutes. Roland asks Sarah if she is injured because of the blood he noticed on her jacket, and Sarah says it's just blood she's got while fixing the baby T-Rex's broken leg. When Roland went to check the others, Nick noticed he left his 2-barrel rifle behind. Next, Dieter walks past Carter, leaves his bag behind and tells him that he needs to go and pee and tells him to wait for him. Unfortunately, Carter didn't hear what he just said because he has his loud headphones on while eating chocolate. I highly believe Carter isn't going to hear Dieter if he was calling out to him because he has his headphones on too loud, Bakugo said, and plus a fate awaits Dieter. Yeah, and we can all agree that Dieter is about to be in danger and is about to killed off from the film, Denki said, and they will all find out what will kill him in the end. Dieter continues to find a good spot to pee, but something catches his attention. He went to see until a compy pops out and he tells it that he shouldn't sneak up on him like that and attempts to tase it with his shock stick again, and quickly the compy gets away. After it was gone, Dieter chooses to head back to Carter, but he gets lost because he went the wrong way, but he doesn't know that. While he tries to call out to Carter, he doesn't hear him due to his headphone as he continues to eat his chocolate. Dieter continues to look for Carter but accidentally falls down and his G3 assault rifle lands somewhere where he won't be able to retrieve it at all. Dieter continues coming down until he finally comes to stop. Dieter is being rude again, Mina said after seeing that Dieter was going to tase the compy again. What else is he gets lost because when he was looking for the source of the noise he went to where he came from and now he's going the wrong way. Also, calling isn't helping because Carter has his headphones on too loud, Itsuka said next. That was a good tumble, Uraraka said, laughing at what happened to Dieter like he just got karma. As Dieter recovers after the fall, he noticed something coming at him from all direction and it turns to be a horde of compis that attacks him. Dieter gets back on his feet while he managed to get most of the compis off him while calling to Carter. One of the compis bites on his lip and managed to get them all off him and the compis make a run for it. Dieter turns around to walk away but notices the compis following him and halt when Dieter looks back. Dieter then scares them all off by chasing them and throwing rocks at them before he continues looking for the others and calling out to Roland. I don't worry, the compis will be back because I think the compis don't want to kill Dieter for food, it's also payback for being rude, Kaken said, smirking on what the compis are planning. And you know they will, Itsuka said, because she knows that the compis are totally not through with Dieter. Back with Roland and the others, he says break's over and it's time to move on. Fellow Ingen hunter calls Carter but he can't hear him due to his loud headphones, so he throws a small rock at him to get his attention and he tells him it's time go now. As Carter grabs his bag and rifle but he failed to notice Dieter's bag. Back Dieter, he calling out to Roland as the compis return to finish the job. Dieter throws rocks at the compis but failed and he splashed water at them and even that fails to tell the compis to retreat. Dieter falls down and one compi jumps on his back and takes a bite out of him as the rest of jumps on him. Dieter managed to get back on his feet and keep running as he climbs up a fallen tree and get to the other side, but the entire horde of compis manage to catch up with him and he screams until all turns quiet. What's left is just blood flowing. Serves you right, Dieter, for being rude with the compis, Uraraka said, smirking, because they all know Dieter deserves that. It's good thing Dieter's death is off-screen so Eri doesn't need to see this anyway, Deku said as he writes Dieter's fate. killed by the horde of Compsognathus as his payback for being rude to one of their own. Roland asks Carter when did he last seen Dieter, and he says that was 15 minutes ago. Roland tells Carter that they will go and find him if he's even alive and the rest will have to keep walking. Peter tells everyone they will carry on, but nobody responded to him. Peter says everybody up and still nobody listen. He says come on up. Even clapping his hands didn't. The audiences snicker at this until Nick tells everybody it's time to go and everybody listen. Nobody listened to Peter but they listened to Nick, Midnight said laughing at that scene. Plus I get the feeling Roland and Carter will only find what's left of Dieter, Lady said, but that will be mentioned by Roland. Everyone stops and sleep for the night and then they will continue for their journey to the operation building on the next day. Anyway, Ian is with Roland and Peter. Ian asks if Roland and Carter found Dieter. Roland said they did, but what happened to him isn't pleasant to say, but he said the parts they didn't like. Roland asked for the map and he says he has located the operation building and they will need to climb down to get there, but that won't be a problem anyway. I bet how they found Dieter is only to be a skeleton or severed body parts, which can explain the parts they didn't like. All Might took a guess on how they found Dieter, which can explains the parts they didn't like. We all guessed that All Might, but in the film Roland won't say how he and Carter found him anyway, Midnight said next. It's probably because it's not good sight on how they found him, Recovery Girl said, and it's true on Roland didn't say how he and Carter found Dieter. Sarah and Kelly are asleep together in the same big tent. Ian was heading for the tent but a familiar tremors is heard and the puddle water are shaking. Ian turns to see the tent. The tremors wakes Sarah up and she looks up at her bloody jacket and she said oh no. It's because the T-Rex adults can smell the blood on her bloody jacket. Ian, who is still outside, knows the T-Rex adults are on their way to where the smell is coming from. Oh crap, that's not good. Sarah has not cleaned up her bloody jacket yet and the T-Rex adults can smell it from a distances away. Tokoyami said, knowing what's going to happen. I highly bet even if Sarah cleaned her bloody jacket the blood is still fresh to smell. Deku says what can happen even if Sarah cleans up her bloody jacket. That's because you need a very good washing machine soap to clean the smell up. Momo said what is required to clean the bloody smell off. Sarah quickly hides all of the snacks and shuts off the lantern as the shadow of the T-Rex appears, and behind the hole of the tent, the T-Rex slowly enters and starts smelling the bloody jacket. Kelly wakes up but Sarah tells her to be quiet before she can scream. Ian, who's standing still, noticed the T-Rex in the tent where Sarah and Kelly are. Carter wakes up after hearing the commotion and when he sees the T-Rex he screams in terror, waking Nick and everyone else up, who then proceeds to run for it while Carter is saying something in his language. Ian is trying to tell everybody not to move or run but too late. The T-Rex gets out of the tent and roars. Ian hides behind a tree while Nick gets Sarah and Kelly to run for it and Ian crawls away. Roland returns and tries to shoot the T-Rex that goes after the Ingen hunters, Nick, Sarah and Kelly, but his rifle makes click sound. He pulls to the two shells out, noticing something happened to them, and says Biasin. That was scary being inside the tent with a T-Rex, Achiko said while holding Eri and the baby triceratops. Also, does anyone know what Carter was saying? Mineta asked but nobody answer. I believe Nick did something with the bullets, which it's the reason why Roland said BSD, because he knows it was him. Tenya said after why Roland's rifle only made a click sound. Back with the others, they keep running and shooting their assault rifles at the pursuing T-Rex, which won't do anything due to its size. Carter trips and falls into a puddle of water while everybody stomps on him. Carter meets his end as screams when the T-Rex stomps on him, and he gets stuck on the T-Rex's foot like gum, which caused the audiences to laugh on what happened to Carter before the third stomp, which leaves him on the puddle of water dead. Deku wrote Carter's fate, stomped by the T-Rex. That was funny on what happened to Carter, Denki said as he continues to laugh with Mineta. Well, I can say that's a funny and horrible way to die. Aizawa commented on how Carter died while he was laughing a little because he finds that funny too. Back with Roland, he grabs some sleeping darts to use at the male T-Rex who didn't join the female due to being occupied drinking water. Roland leaves the second one on his mouth and shoots the first one, which caught the male's attention, and turns to get to Roland as he reloads. I hope Roland survives this, David said. Oh, believe me, David, he will, All Might said, which will happen. Again with the group, Kelly trips and falls and they quickly pick her up and they get inside the waterfall with Burke. The female T-Rex puts its head in the waterfall but can't reach them and roars at them. Kelly, scared, keeps telling the T-Rex to go away, but it's persistent. The female T-Rex tries to lick Sarah after noticing the blood on her head. Meanwhile, Burke panics after a snake goes under his shirt and he meets his end as he got too close, which allowed the female T-Rex to grabs him by the arm and lift him off and then devours him, and what's left of him is just blood coming down the waterfall, which Sarah doesn't look at. At first it looks like the female T-Rex was coming back, but was just Ian, and Kelly embraces her father and Ian thanks Nick for protecting her. Deku writes Burke's fate: devoured by the female T-Rex after panicking when a snake goes under his shirt. I called that karma, Shoto said after seeing what happened to Burke. Well, Burke had to panic when the snake goes under his shirt, causing him forget that they have a T-Rex situation, Melissa said next while cleaning her glasses. Good karma, Kakin shouted. At least Kelly is back with her father again now, and Nick did a good job protecting his daughter. All Might said that Nick did fine job keeping Kelly safe. Ajay and the Ingen hunters enters a large grass field, but Ajay is trying to tell everybody not to go into the large grass field for some reason, which made audiences wonder why is Ajay saying that everyone with him. Ajay tosses his bag away and tries again to convince everyone not go to the large grass field, but nobody is listening to him. Wonder why Ajay is telling everybody not go to the large grass field? Itsuka wonders along with everybody else. We are about to find why. Midnight said they will soon. Why? Their answer is while Ajay and the Ingen hunters keep moving, Velociraptors rise up from the large grass field and seize them, which made the audiences go wide-eye after seeing the Velociraptors a second time. Ajay and the Ingen hunters keeps moving unaware of the Velociraptors that's coming their way for an attack. The last guy behind gets picked off by one of the raptors, 2 guys goes down next. A third one goes down next, which got everyone's attention after hearing the Velociraptor, which made all of them to run for it. A 4th Ingen hunter gets picked off by another raptor, which caused the rest to turn around. An African-American guy hears a Velociraptor roar, then turns around, scream while backing up, and a Velociraptor jumps on him and kills him. Deku writes the fate of Ajay and the Ingen hunters, killed by Velociraptors in the large grass field. Well, there's your answer why Ajay was trying to tell everyone not to go into the large grass, Aizawa said after they all saw what happened. Yes, remember what Peter mentioned before, what's in their path to the operation building is the Velociraptors. Midnight recalls what Peter mentioned before. And looks like everybody all except for Ajay forgot about that, All Might said next. Ian, Nick, Sarah and Kelly got the large grass field, but they stop after Nick found AJ's bag, but then they started hearing noises coming from the Ingen hunters and Velociraptors, then hears one nearby. Ian says to everyone to run as fast as they can, and they did make it to the other side with slide down and managed to escape the Velociraptors. Ian hurt himself and needs to stop, and Nick will have to go on without them for now since they are near the operation building. That was a close call, Emmy Lady said, feeling relieved that they managed to evade the raptors. Let's just hope they won't see the raptors again, Kamui Woods said, but the raptors' role isn't finished yet. Hey, since the operation building has been abandoned, do you think anything still even works, Ribbit? Was this hole been done, Azui? They'll be lucky if anything still works, Tenya answered her. Nick managed to find the operation building and found some old painting, which the same visitor center from Isla Nublar in the first film. He moves on and managed to find a radio and managed to get it back online. Next he gets into a mic and managed to get a call for help this time. That was easy, Deku said. How easy that was? Let's just hope the helicopter part is as well, Deku, Uraraka said next, but actually they will see the raptors again next before the helicopter can pick them. Everything still works despite being abandoned, Kakin said, feeling surprised that everything still works despite the decaying. Meanwhile, Peter, who was nowhere to be seen during that T-Rex attack, is looking around and then found Roland, who also survived too. Ian, Sarah and Kelly managed to arrive at the operation building and started calling Nick. While Ian keeps calling for Nick, a Velociraptor appears from behind and jumps onto Sarah, but only got Sarah's bag. Ian gets its focus on him and tells Sarah and Kelly to get inside anywhere as 2 more Velociraptors attempts to get to them as they close the door on them. Ian tries to evade the raptor chasing him getting inside but the raptor managed to smashes through the window, and he attempt to use the door as a shield, but the raptor headbutts, sending Ian crashing into another window. Ian managed to get inside a SUV as the raptor attempts to get to him by attempting to break the window. Whoa, I thought Sarah was a goner, But thankfully that Velociraptor only got her bag, Mina said, feeling happy Sarah doesn't die on this one. But what they need to do now is try to survive the 3 raptors now. Jiro said they need to survive the raptor attack on them. Sarah and Kelly are inside a building while the 2 raptors are trying to smash their way in, while Ian is still trying to keep the other raptor on him while keeping an eye on the other back with Sarah and Kelly. They attempt to dig their way out. Even the other 2 raptors are digging their way in. Thankfully Sarah and Kelly manage to dig their way out. Sarah tells Kelly to go first and she will be right behind her but gets interrupted by another raptor that smashes its way in, so Sarah and Kelly chooses to get to higher ground. Oh come on. Sarah and Kelly just dig their way out and now another raptor has to interrupt them? Tokoyami complains about that part. Don't forget that the raptors are intelligent, so most likely this one knew what Sarah and Kelly were planning, All Might said to him. Back with Ian, that raptor was able to make a hole in the window of the SUV but can't reach him. Ian noticed the 2 raptors that were chasing Sarah and Kelly are gone. So he heads there right now, and when he did, Sarah and Kelly tells him to watch out for the other Velociraptor, and Ian climbs, but the raptor was able to jump high enough to reach him. Kelly managed to save her father using her acrobatics and defeat the raptor, who falls into a spike, impaling it and killing it. Ian briefly speaks with his daughter, but Sarah interrupts when she tells to get out of here when another Velociraptor is approaching. Nice acrobatics from Kelly. Momo cheered along with the other female audience while Deku writes the fate of that one raptor, killed after getting impaled by a spike after getting kicked by Kelly. And yet they got more raptors to deal with now, Itsuka said next. Sarah managed to get to the roof and jump to the other rooftop, but the other Velociraptor was able to catch up with her and managed to jump to the other rooftop in front of Sarah. She screams and slides down where another raptor below her tries to catch her while she tries to throw plates of the roof onto it. At the same time the raptor on the roof with her slips and falls off the roof where it and the other raptor picks a fight with each other. Sarah, feeling relieved, attempts to escape, but she slips and falls next to the 2 raptors who too occupied fighting to notice her. Sarah rolls her way and reunited with Ian and Kelly. Nick calls them as the helicopter arrives to pick them. Ian asked the pilots if there are any more survivors, and the pilots said more helicopters are coming, and they lift off to return home. Ian tells a crying Kelly that it's over now. Nick is then seen with the 2 bullet shells which he got from Roland's 2-barrel rifle before dropping in the floor. Well, Sarah managed to get away and reunited with Ian and Kelly because the 2 raptors are too busy fighting, Deku said. And we all know it was Nick who tampered with Roland's rifle, Uraraka said. Still, this is not over yet. All Might tells everyone that this isn't over yet. Meanwhile, Peter, Roland and the remaining Ingen hunters who evaded the raptors regroup with Ingen forces ready to transport the male T-Rex as well as the baby T-Rex to San Diego. Roland was saddened that Ajay didn't survive the attack of the raptors. Peter offers him a job, but Roland declines and tells him that he spent too long in the company of death before walking to his helicopter that will take him home. Sarah, Nick and Ian sees them from above, meaning they will have to do something about this when they return to San Diego. Looks like they got one last job to do when then return to San Diego, which the male T-Rex and baby T-Rex will be taken to. MT Lady said, but there will be a rampage coming to San Diego. So this time the scene is in San Diego now. There is a Ingen helicopter arriving, and then the scene changes to the docks where many limos and other cars are on their way to. Peter is giving his speech about Jurassic Park San Diego. Meanwhile, Ian and Sarah are trying to get in, but the guard denies them and shut the gate on them. Peter continues his speech until one of the Ingen employers informs that he needs to see this. Peter asks to let Ian and Sarah in as he goes inside to see something. The man shows Peter that Ingen ship known as the Venture that's on the way toward their direction. He tries to contact the Venture, but no one is answering and the Venture isn't slowing down. Something isn't quite right about the Venture. All Might knows something is very wrong with the Venture. You think so? What else could explain why nobody is answering and why the ship isn't stopping or slowing down at all, which could mean something has happened on board? He answered Kamui Wood's question. Ian and Sarah are finally let in and are wondering what is everybody looking at anyway, and Ian said that they should stay on the car. Back with Peter, they keep trying to contact the Venture and yet nobody is answering, while Peter keeps looking on the radar, and then everybody stands up from their chair as Peter steps outside and sees Venture that's about to collide with the docks, and everybody runs for cover. Oh God, run for your life. Midnight said. Don't want it to get crushed by that massive ship. Deku said. Yikes. Eri said, covering her eyes. The Venture crashes and skids in the dock, knocking over a limo and knocks over a truck before coming to a stop. Peter and some of the Ingen guards and workers decided to check on board, and they start with the bridge, and they found the crew. It's all over the place, and Peter a severed hand still on the wheel, which caused some of the audiences to cover their eyes, not wanting to vomit from the sight of this. Ian and Sarah stand near a opening hatch from the deck, and Ian is becoming suspicious about that part while Sarah checks the opening deck like if somebody is trying to forcibly open it. I've got a bad feeling about what's down there, Toru said, but they are about to see what's down there. Also, what did caused a severed hand like that? Mina even wonders who caused a severed hand to be left in the helm and what happened on board the Venture. Also, what really happened on board the Venture? Shoto asks, and everyone is wondering what happened on board. Peter orders everyone to check the cargo hold, thinking there might be crew down there, but Ian tells everybody out the boat now before he stops a guard from using a mic, but interrupted when the cargo hold hatch opens by the now awakened T-Rex, which horrifies Peter. The T-Rex chases some of the Ingen workers and guards while most of them jump into the water knowing the T-Rex can't swim. Ian tells Peter that he's now John Hammond. 2 more guards keep running as the T-Rex smashes through the gate and then roars at the city below. So now we know why the nobody answered when they are trying to contact the Venture, Aizawa said, and everybody nodded their head. It's because the T-Rex attacked the crew, leaving nobody to control the Venture or even answer the mic, Recovery Girl said next, while Deku writes the fate of the crew of the Venture, attacked by the male T-Rex on board. A guard tells Ian and Sarah what happened on board the Venture. It turns out due to the 2 sleeping darts that Roland fired at the male T-Rex before caused it go in a brink of dying after it went overdose, and the crew needed to revived but accidentally woke it up completely, which caused it to attack the crew to begin with. Ian and Sarah ask Peter if they have the baby T-Rex, and Peter said that it's safe and sound. Ian and Sarah ask him where is the facility where it is being kept, and Peter might as well answer them if they are going to stop the male T-Rex's rampage on San Diego. Looks like their only way to lure the male T-Rex back to the Venture is they need baby, Itsuka said. It is the only way, Itsuka, if they are going to stop the rampage, Momo said next, and they are about to see the rampage of the T-Rex. They need the baby T-Rex to make it follow them back to the Venture, Jiro said next. The male T-Rex explores the neighborhood which everyone is asleep. While exploring the backyard, it found a swimming pool of water and decided to have a drink, but also broke through a brick wall. A boy who was asleep is awoken by tremors coming from his fish tank, and he gets out of bed to take a look what's making that. He was shocked to see the T-Rex, who then stares at, and then the boy goes to his parents to warn them. Outside, while the T-Rex is drinking, a dog barks at it, but the dog goes back inside after the T-Rex growls at it. That was scary, Mina said after a brief stare with the boy and the T-Rex. It could be worse, Mina. What's going to happen to the dog? We are not sure, Mineta? Ijiro answered, but the dog is about to meet its fate in the next scene. The boy tries to wake his parents up, but they are not waking up, so he removes their blanket to wake them and warns them what's going on in their backyard, and he leads them there. While he's leading them back to his room, his parents, who doesn't believe him and argues. Mom thinks it's the fish, but Dad claims he knows exactly what it is, but their argument was cut short when they see the T-Rex that devour their dog, and the doghouse is demolished after hitting the ground. The boy takes a photograph and the flash jolts the T-Rex, who then roars, scaring the parents. Doggy and oh. Mina is tears after seeing what happened to the dog as Toru comforts her, and Izuku writes the dog's fate, devoured by the T-Rex. Typical parents who won't believe unless they see for themselves. Kaken said in anger about the parents who didn't believe their son until they come face to face with the male T-Rex. Well, that's the way parents are, young Bakugo. All Might said that's the way parents are. Meanwhile, Ian and Sarah arrives at the still under construction theme park, but first crashes through the checkpoint before getting the baby T-Rex out of there. First, guards interrupts them with guns, but Ian says they are taking the baby T-Rex, and if they want to stop them, shoot them. But the guards did nothing and allowed Ian and Sarah leave with the baby and head for the city. Well, that was easy, Itsuka said, because Ian and Sarah got there without the guards trying to take back the baby T-Rex from them or even shoot them. Now that needs to be done is getting the male T-Rex back to the docks and back into the Venture with the baby. Right, Shoto? In the city, a random woman screams in the sight of the T-Rex and quickly back up but collides with another car. Another car's back but falls upside down after backing up into another car and the T-Rex chomps a stoplight. Next the T-Rex hits a bus sending some of the passengers to the other side of the bus outside and then the damaged bus crashes into the Blockbuster store. All of the citizens all run for the lives from the hungry T-Rex. One random dude tries to enter a mall to be out of reach, but the T-Rex chomps which cause Deku and Uraraka to cover Aries' eyes as the T-Rex devours the random dude. Well, there goes a random dude, Denki said, and Deku writes the fate of the random dude, devoured by the T-Rex while trying to escape. Still the T-Rex had enough strength to damage and dent a large bus like that. All Might was interested on what the T-Rex did to that bus. Can you do that, All Might? Deku asked. Sure I can, young Midoriya. Still, if there were superheroes in the JP universe like us, I highly doubt we would want to kill the T-Rex because we would be on Ian's and Sarah's side. Aizawa mentions what they would do if they were there. Sure, we would, Aizawa, and would help them put Peter out of business, Midnight said, and everyone nods their heads. Ian and Sarah arrived at the scene with the baby T-Rex and they drive near the gas station and Ian tells Sarah to get the baby T-Rex make a sound to get the male T-Rex's attention and they succeed. When the male T-Rex sees the baby in the arms of Sarah, it becomes enraged and knocks a large pole with the big ball that rolls past Ian and Sarah. The T-Rex gives chase and knocks a van over with broken doors. While driving, Sarah asks Ian to slow down a little to be sure the male T-Rex can keep up with them, but Ian says he doesn't think so. Police forces arrive but are scared off by the male T-Rex as Ian and Sarah continues their way toward the venture and crash into a warehouse and decided to continue on foot while the male T-Rex continues to follow to get the baby back. Now they need to get back to the venture and lure the male T-Rex back there with the baby right now. M-Lady said what needs to be done now. They can do it without any interference, Kamui Woods said next. They also need to put the male T-Rex to sleep again, Toru said, but they will see eventually. Plus, so much for the police. Kamui Woods, after seeing all of the police, just ran away after the T-Rex roars at them. Peter is on the phone and tells his men to shoot the adult T-Rex, and he wants the baby back alive and chases Ian and Sarah with the baby on board the venture. Peter calls out to Ian and asks what they done with the baby before they jump into the water and swim back to shore. Peter looks for the baby in the cargo hold and manages to find it, but before he can get the baby, the male T-Rex arrives and the baby reunites with its parent and threatens to kill Peter for stealing its baby. Yeah, kill his butt. Kaken cheered that the adult T-Rex will kill Peter for his wrongdoings just to make himself rich. Eat him up. Denki cheered too. He deserves death, MT Lady said, and all of the pros agrees with her after seeing all the wrongdoings that Peter did. Peter, now scared, says wave and makes his escape up the stairs, but he trips and the male T-Rex chomps him, making him scream in pain before dropping him, and he said wave again. Peter gets back on his and attempt to escape again, but he trips and fall again and tries to crawl away, but halts, looks back on who's coming for him, and it's the baby T-Rex. The baby T-Rex then jumps on Peter and takes a bite out of him as he screams in pain while the male T-Rex watches his son hunt. Well, looks like Daddy T-Rex wants to see his son learn how to hunt, Tokoyami said with a smile, and Deku writes Peter Ludlow's fate, killed by the baby T-Rex while trying to escape. Now there's just one more thing to do now before it's finally over. Kamui Woods says there's just one last thing that needs to be done before it's all over. Sarah arrives with a rifle as the police arrives along with a helicopter, and she loads it with a sleeping dart, and Ian pushed the button to close the cargo hold now that both T-Rexes are inside. As the helicopter takes aim, Sarah shoots first and direct hit to the neck, and the male T-Rex roars in pain as he is going to sleep again while Ian and Sarah watch cargo hold finally closes for good. Have a nice dream until you get home, Jiro said. We are all grateful that Ian and Sarah prevented Peter's plan, Midnight said, and everyone agrees. On the news on the next day shows the venture heading to Isla Sorna to return the male T-Rex and the baby with the US Navy as escorts so they can prevent another San Diego incident from ever happening again. Kelly is watching while Ian and Sarah are asleep. Next, an interview and message from John Hammond himself. He says that they all must work together with the Costa Rican government to preserve Isla Sorna to be a nature preserve. The dinosaurs require their absences, and if they just step aside and trust in nature, life finds a way. Life finds a way, Deku said, because he would find that iconic for him. You do find that iconic, don't you? Yes, I do, All Might. The final scene seeing the dinosaurs living in peace in Isla Sorna. They're the T-Rex parents with their baby, herd of Stegosaurus passing by and the Pteranodons flying in the skies, and one lands on a branch of tree. Deku sketches that Pteranodon, since that is a new dinosaur to be seen in the end of the film as it ends, and the audiences clapped their hands as it ends. Now with the Lost World Jurassic Park done, it's time that the MHA audiences catches a break before they get started with Jurassic Park 3, which is next. Everybody take a look at the replicas of the vehicles, dinosaurs and dino skeletons, even some new merchandise they collect. Hey Deku? Uraraka calls him while he was checking out some Lost World figures like a Stegosaurus. What is it, Uraraka? Achiko then points at the direction where Eri and the baby Triceratops are playing. It is me, or did the baby Triceratops suddenly double in size? Denki said after they all see the baby Triceratops suddenly and out of nowhere grew large enough for Eri to ride on its back. I don't think it matters because Eri seems happy riding on its back while wearing Alan Grant's hat. All Might and the rest of pros smiled seeing how happy Eri is while riding on the baby Triceratops's back. Also, you all know Triceratops is really plant eater, so it won't hurt anyone. Momo tells them that, but actually Triceratops are capable on attacking even humans if they feel threatened. And it seems Eri is having fun riding on its back, Jiro said with a smile on seeing how happy Eri is. Well, let's just let her have fun while it lasts, Deku said to allow Eri enjoy her fun. Anyway everyone, let's just do what we want before the next film starts. All Might tells everybody to do what they can before they can get started with the next film. Right. Jurassic Park 3, huh? Shoto said, but notice the logo, it's a T-Rex now and it's new dinosaur. Looks like the star of the third film will not but T-Rex this time, Kakin said as he and the others take a seat to be ready for the next film. Well, let's see once the film starts. Tenya said they will see once they watch the film. That looks like a Spinosaurus, Deku whispered, but only Uraraka heard him as the everything goes dark and the next film begins. They will eventually see the new star of the film, which is a Spinosaurus in action. The scene starts in Isla Sorna once again with the word restricted area, and a plane flies above the island, and then a man in binoculars sees the plane as they head toward the island on a speedboat. Two people they are with is Ben and Eric Kirby, who has a chain attached to them with a cabled rope, and Ben tells the man to get them close as they can and he will give them something extra if they make it a good trip, and the man he will, but not too close because they don't want to be eaten. Ready now, Ben opens his parasail with the word Dinosaurna and up they go. Isla Sorna again, huh? I guess Isla Nubular isn't very popular this time, Tenya said after seeing its more focus on Isla Sorna. Probably because Isla Sorna has more dinosaurs populating the area. Shoto took a guess why Isla Sorna. As Ben and Eric are up in the air, Ben uses a video camera hopping to catch a sight of the dinosaurs, but he tells Eric he hasn't seen anything yet. Back on the boat, the two notice they heading toward a fog. While Ben and Eric continue observing the island, but suddenly something rocks them, and after stopping and coming out of the fog they notice the two men on the boat are gone and there is blood on the boat and top is broken, plus with no driver they are heading toward the rocks. Eric panics as Eric tries to cut them loose before the boat can crash into the rocks. They manage to free themselves and the boat crashes into the rocks as Ben and Eric making a landing on Isla Sorna, but they will be stranded there. I bet a meat-eating dinosaur was actually waiting in the fog, Itsuka said, and Izuku writes the fate of the two guys on the boat. Devour in the fog by an unknown carnivore. Most likely, but Ben and Eri are safe from that since they are up in the air, Aizawa said to her. But in the end Ben and Eric are trapped in the Isla Sorna then. Midnight reminds them of that part. I'm pretty sure someone will come and get them, All Might said, because more will coming to the island. Elsewhere, a boy named Charlie is playing with a toy Brachiosaurus and Triceratops and gets them to fight. Next to him is none other than Alan Grant, which the audiences find surprising to see him again. Alan tells Charlie that herbivores wouldn't pick fights, but the carnivores he's holding would, and then Ellie arrives with a baby on her arms. Ellie then kisses her husband Mark and then introduces Alan to him, and Charlie steps in telling his daddy that the Brachiosaurus toy is a herbivore and Alan is the dinosaur man, but correction, it's dinosaur fan. Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, welcome back to the film and nice to see you both again. Deku cheered along with several others. So Alan and Ellie are just friends the whole time, Mina feeling down about her shipping. Colleagues Mina, colleagues, Momo said to her. Alan tries to get Jack the parrot to say his name with food, but Jack gave no response before Alan speaks with Mark and Ellie. Mark said that he works for the US State Department. Conversations gets cut short after hearing the baby crying, and Mark goes to tend the baby. Anyway, Ellie asks Alan what is he working on, and the answers is Velociraptors. Alan said that the raptors are smarter than dolphins, whales and primates. Before Alan can leave in his car, Ellie says that he is still the best on what he does for a living. Now we all know Velociraptors, the most intelligent dinosaur on Earth aside from being just dangerous. All Might tells everybody and nodded about how intelligent they are aside from other living creatures on Earth. Alan is doing a lecture about the Velociraptors and hypothesizes that if the original Velociraptors before Jurassic Park never went extinct and continue to evolve, their descendants rather than humans would have been the most dominant species on Earth. After that, 4 questions which the entire audiences raise their hands, plus Alan asks if anyone has a question that doesn't relate to Jurassic Park or the incident in San Diego which he wasn't there to witness. One man said that he theory on raptors, even mentioning what's up on Isla Sorna. Alan mentions how the dinosaurs lived and the fossils that's left behind, and mentions John Hammond and Ingen which led to the creation of the dinosaurs. One woman asked if Alan ever thought about going to Isla Sorna and study the dinosaurs, and Alan doubts it. I like that hypothesis of Alan. If raptors became the most dominant, I bet they would get quirks themselves aside from just us humans. Deku said believe that raptors would get quirks instead of just humans. That's interesting, young Midoriya. But don't forget, to the raptors we humans are just food. MT Lady reminds them that raptors only views humans as food. But we will all defend ourselves from the quirk raptors, you know, Recovery Girl said to MT Lady. Elsewhere is Nash, who paints a plane to look a dinosaur before tossing the spraying paint inside before going to his buddy Cooper, who asks what kind of bullet he has. Next is Udesky, who gets a call from Paul Kirby. After stepping outside the big plane, Cooper fires his rifle, completely blowing up the plane, which upper part flies off. Udesky says it's going to be a walk in the park. Now that's a powerful bullet, Denki said. But highly doubt it's going to blow up a dinosaur, Tenya said to him. It may blow up a plane but probably not a dinosaur. Elsewhere we're back at the dig site where Billy and a friend is digging up a fossil of a velociraptor. Billy tells his friend about what's hard and smooth before meeting with Alan. Next, Billy introduces a larynx of a velociraptor which is made into a horn whenever someone blows into it, and they will sound like a velociraptor. Paul Kirby shows up and introduces himself to Alan, and he said that he owns Kirby Enterprises and gives him his card. Paul asks if Alan and Billy can have dinner with his wife this evening and it will be their treat. At first Alan declines, but Billy insisted they go. Another company? I just hope Paul Kirby and his wife isn't greedy just like the previous people from the previous films, Kaken said, because he actually hates those greedy people and companies who wants the dinosaurs for money. I don't think so, Kaken. Paul Kirby seems to be a good person, Deku said to him, and it's true. Let's just see what Paul has in mind first. Shoto said that they need to see what Paul has in mind before they jump to conclusions. Evening, Alan and Billy meet up with Paul and his wife Amanda Kirby. Paul said that he and his wife really love traveling, so he tells Alan that he chartered a plane to fly them to Isla Sorna and they want him to be their guide. Alan is at first reluctant, but Paul can help fund his research and said that he can write all kinds of numbers on a paper and ask him what's it going to be. Alan smiled in the end. There you see. But think this isn't about getting dinosaurs for money, young Bakugo. All Might believes this isn't about dinosaurs for money. I think we need to find out on the next scene. Uraraka said they will find on the next scene. Plus we are all pretty sure Paul and Amanda Kirby has their reason for this, Kamui Wood said to them. Next scene is the plane is on a course for Isla Sorna. Billy and Alan talk on the flight. Billy thanked Alan for letting him tag along. Alan said the bones will still be there when they get back and tells Billy that he got him into this and he has no attention on being on his own with Paul, Amanda and the Mercs. Alan decided to take a quick nap and tells Billy to wake him when they get there. While Alan is asleep, Billy talks with Cooper, then asks him and the others how they know the Kirbys. The plane then enters a fog of clouds and Alan wakes up and finds that everybody is gone and gets terrified after finding a velociraptor with him and says his name. Billy then wakes him up and tells to wake up, they're almost there. Looks like the whole thing was just a nightmare. That's what happens when you talk about the raptors too much. Jiro commented about having nightmares about the raptors. Something also tells me that they too will be stranded in the island too, Deku said, which is going to happen. While entering Isla Sorna, Udesky and Nash hear on the radio that they've been interceptor and choose to ignore that by turning off the radio, plus a familiar music also plays. Looking out the window, Alan and Billy sees the dinosaurs. Alan said that he really forgotten about them. On the ground is a herd of Brachiosaurus, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Parasaurolophus and Corythosaurus. While Alan is guiding them, Paul asks Udesky and Nash if they can see the dinosaurs but says they see nothing because they're in the front, that's why. When Nash mentioned they plan to land, Alan tries to stop them without letting Paul explain himself, and when he stands up, Cooper knocks him out. What is Paul Kirby playing at? That is something we'll be seeing on the next scene, Bakugo, Shoto said to Kaken. But's good to see new and old dinosaurs even though they got new colors, Tenya said, smiling on the sight of old and new dinosaurs. I won't be sketching any new dinosaurs now, I don't have a full shot at them yet. Deku said he will not sketch because of not having a clear view of them. Alan comes too and asks Billy if they didn't land, but they hear Amanda calling Ben and Eric in a very loud speakerphone while Udesky, Nash and Cooper arm themselves up with guns. Alan and Billy step outside and Paul apologies for that as Alan asks who knocked him and he says that was Cooper. Alan asks what are they doing and Paul says they are setting up a perimeter and says that is safe, but Alan dismisses it and said they need to leave and tells Amanda to stop making all that loud noise because that's a very bad idea. Oh, please shut up already, you're going to get attention from carnivores. Kaken yelled at Amanda to stop it already. She's too desperate, young Bakugo. All Might told him that she is too desperate. Amanda continues to call out to Ben and Eric until she hears her husband says that is a bad idea and she turns and says what? Paul repeats that and Amanda turns around again, asks what's a bad idea until loud roar is heard, even gunfire. Paul asks what was that? Billy thinks it's a T-Rex but Alan doesn't think so because it sounds bigger. Udesky and Nash returns without Cooper and says they need to leave now. As they get inside, Billy asks what about Cooper but Udesky says he can handle this as the roar and gunfire continues. They get the plane started as turn around as an injured Cooper is running back toward the runaway. Oh crap! Denki said, knowing what they are about to see. Being too desperate can put anyone in danger, Momo said as they await the new dinosaur that's coming. Cooper arrives and tries to tell the plane to stop. Cooper is also crying thinking he's going to get left behind because Nash says he can't stop. Cooper continues to wave to the plane but interrupted by the new dinosaur, which is a Spinosaurus that's coming for him. Cooper screams and runs but not fast enough as the Spinosaurus chomps him, in the end killing him. Nash and Udesky tries to pull up to avoid colliding with the Spinosaurus, but they are hit somewhere in the lower part of the plane causing it to come down and they got blood splattered in the windows. The damaged plane crashes into the forest, losing both wings, the top tail, before coming to a stop. Now we finally get to see the Spinosaurs, Itsuka said while Deku sketches the Spinosaurs and writes Cooper's fate, devoured by the Spinosaurus while waving to the plane. And there goes Cooper, Mina said. I also believed Cooper was going to die anyway when the plane collides with him, even if the Spinosaurus doesn't catch up with him. After everyone is okay, Udesky tells everyone to just stay put, so he tries calling in the radio but nothing because the radio is gone. Nash asks for the satellite phone. Alan opens the door only to find they are high up in the tree and says they haven't landed yet. Call from the satellite phone was no help at all. Suddenly the plane rocks and Paul asks what was that? While everybody wasn't looking, the Spinosaurs is seen and only Amanda notices and screams in panic, but Paul is asking what is it? It's quite obvious, isn't it? Kaken asked and everyone nodded. The plane rocks again as the Spinosaurus is trying to rip the cockpit out and succeeded on doing so as Nash placed the satellite phone on his vest. Udesky and Nash gets back with the others, but the Spinosaurus, thanks to its long snout, was able to grab Nash by the legs and pulls him out while he was crying out for help as it swirls him around before dropping him into a puddle. Nash tries to crawl away but the Spinosaurus stomps on him and devours him in the end. Next, the Spinosaurus makes a loud roar which blows plane with the humans inside to come down from the tree. The Spinosaurus then rolls it until it hits another tree. Amanda, who sees the Spinosaurus coming their way and attempts to run away, but Alan was able to get her come back and Paul was just coming out only for him to come back in as the Spinosaurus attempts another time trying to get to the remaining humans. Nash is now gone, Deku said while writing Nash's fate. devoured by the Spinosaurus while trying to crawl away. The Spinosaurus then creates a hole on the plane trying to chomp the humans as they take turns to get to the other side. After they are all outside, they run for it as the Spinosaurus pursues them. They were able to loose the Spinosaurus when it couldn't fit in the trees, and it roars at them as they keep running. They all stop after Alan said they think they lost the Spinosaurus. When they found a dead dinosaur, Alan said it's dead, but a T-Rex appears realizing it was busy eating, and Alan tells everybody not to move a muscle. But everybody runs after the T-Rex roars at them, and Alan joins them as the T-Rex goes after them, but they halt as the Spinosaurus was there waiting for them, and Alan falls to the ground. "Oh no, T-Rex," Denki said. "Run for your lives," Mineta said next. "This could be interesting, T-Rex versus Spinosaurus. Tokoyami is interested that part that's coming." Both Spinosaurus and T-Rex roared at each other, and Alan was nearly stomped by the T-Rex, but the two trees he was under prevented that from happening. The T-Rex bites the Spinosaurus by the neck and pins it to the ground, but the Spinosaurus was able to get back on its feet and break free. The T-Rex then headbutts the Spinosaurus and does so a second time, but the Spinosaurus used the second headbutt to give it an opening to chomp the T-Rex by the neck, giving it the upper hand this time. Unlike the Spinosaurus, the T-Rex has no way on breaking free, all thanks to the Spinosaurus using its arms to keep hold. The Spinosaurus defeats the T-Rex by snapping its neck, and Alan gets back up his feet and the others as the T-Rex falls to the ground dead. Lastly, the Spinosaurus roars in victory. "Spinosaurus wins," Tokoyami said. "Spinosaurus has the advantages thanks to its ability to grapple with prey." Deku said the reason why Spinosaurus won the fight. Paul Kirby stumbles back and lands on a tree because Alan Grant hit him after he came clean with his explanation, and Amanda tells him to stop, and Alan says to Paul next time he needs some explaining. Alan and Billy check the photo of Eric, who reveals to be Paul's and Amanda's son. They did everything they could to help find Eric, but no one will help them, and the US Embassy told them they should just accept the inevitable. Billy asked if Eric was alone, but Amanda said he was with a friend named Ben Hildebrand. Alan asked why him because Udesky said that they needed someone who was in the island before, but Alan said he never been here, but Paul insisted, and Billy corrects them that Alan was in Isla Nublar and this is Isla Sorna Site B. That serves you right for not telling Alan about this from the very beginning. "Don't be like that, Bakugo. At least Paul came clean with it already," Aizawa said to him, because Paul already came clean with his explanation anyway. Yeah, but Alan isn't quite happy for not being told in the first place. Next question from Alan is how long was Eric been missing, and the answer is almost 8 weeks, and reveals Paul and Amanda were ex-husband and ex-wife but got back together after learning what happened to Eric. Alan told Billy that they should back to the plane and salvage what they can and make for the coast, but Paul said they are not living without Eric, and Alan said they can go and look for him or stick with them because they probably won't get off Isla Sorna alive. Udesky tells Paul and Amanda they will look for Eric with the direction that Alan and Billy are using, and Paul said excellent and catch up with Alan and Billy. So Paul and Amanda Kirby were ex-husband and ex-wife but got back together after learning what happened to Eric, Mina said. And seriously, Alan isn't going to help them? Denki said after hearing that Alan doesn't want help them find Eric at all. Because with no weapons against meat-eating dinosaurs there is no point. Although in our case we would all help thanks to our quirks. Shoto explains why, but in their case they would all help find Eric because their quirks will be their only defense against carnivores. Alan, Billy and Udesky are busy salvaging what they can find in the wreckage of the plane while Paul and Amanda have a conversation while changing, and Momo and Jiro cover Denki's and Mineta's eyes to prevent them having any perverted thoughts in their mind. Anyway, Billy takes a photograph of the Spinosaurus's footprint. Alan and Billy knows that the Spinosaurus wasn't in the Ingen list of dinosaurs that John Hammond wanted to resurrect it, and it's likely it was mistaken for Suchomimus or Baryonyx, or must have been a secret project for sure. Oh, so Spinosaurus was not even in the Ingen list of dinosaurs that John Hammond wanted to bring back. Momo became surprised after hearing that from Alan and Billy about their thoughts about the Spinosaurus. Must have been mistaken for Suchomimus or Baryonyx, Jiro said next. Or it was a secret project, Deku said. Could be either of that, Jiro said last. Alan, who got his hat back and with Billy, asked Paul this. There's no such thing as Kirby Enterprises there? The corrections is Kirby Paint and Tile Plus, and it's a hardware store. So they make their journey and Amanda continues to call for Eric and Alan tells her quiet, then Paul tells her to stop that because it's very dangerous territory they are in, but Amanda said they should split up, but Paul said that Alan mentioned that's bad idea, which caused them both to argue because Alan isn't looking for Eric, he is looking for the coast. In the Paul said go ahead and scream and whatever attacks them like Spinosaurus don't crying to him, and they argue again after Amanda said something that he didn't hear right. Udesky said to Billy that if they do split up, Udesky is going with Billy and Alan. Oh, with you please shut up already. Kakin shouted again to get Amanda to stop that because being that loud can attract attention. Well, Paul is also trying to tell his wife to stop that too, you know, MB Lady said. But Amanda is way too desperate to find her son and rather ignore what Alan said to avoid getting any attention from carnivores. Kamui Woods next. They were able to find the parasail that's been abandoned, then Paul and Amanda started calling out to Eric, but Amanda is being loud again until Alan gets her to stop. Paul was able to find the life preserver, which is actually Eric's. Udesky was able to find Amanda's camera, but the batteries is dead, and Udesky switch it with his flashlight's batteries and they were able to see everything that happened and the screen went static in the end. Paul said that he's alone and he knows he's alive. Alone? Then what happened to Ben? Toru wonders. Alan asked Billy if he can fly a parasail, and yes he can, so they decided to take it because if there is a plane they can get attention, but suddenly when they try to get it down the skeletal remains of Ben come swinging and lands on Amanda, who screams and panics in terror as the trio tries to get it off her. After they did, Amanda just runs away scared and Paul goes after her. Does that answer your question, Toru Ribbit? Azui asks of that answer her question while Deku writes Ben's fate. Dead by some unknown means, leaving only a decomposing skeleton tangled up. Paul was able to catch up with Amanda and says he is sorry about Ben, but Amanda they should worry about Eric because he is out there alone. Paul and Amanda notice something and Paul calls Alan and says he should come look at this. When Alan showed up he sees a nest of eggs and deduced this nest belongs to the Velociraptors, and Billy shows seeing the nest too. They continue onward and Paul tells Amanda they will find him no matter what. Alan stops wondering where is Billy, then goes back to him and asks what he's been doing. Billy said he is photographing the nest. Alan said don't do that again. Billy apologies for that, but Alan warns him that if he loses him it's just him and the tourist now. I just hope Billy didn't do anything stupid that will give the Velociraptors an excuse to come after them. Uraraka hopes, but Billy already gave the Raptors excuse. The group finds an abandoned complex and Paul bets Eric is there and they choose to go there and check it out. After entering, Paul loudly calls out to Eric, and this time Amanda tells him to be quiet. Amanda finds a phone and decide to see if it works, but no, it doesn't work. As they leave to see what they can find inside, unknown to them a black silhouette outside run past them. What was that? Not sure, Uraraka, but whatever that black silhouette is, it could spell trouble. Deku answered, but it will spell trouble. Now Amanda tells her husband to be quiet. This, Melissa said while snickering about it. Next they find some old snack caches. Paul is asking if anyone has any changes, but Billy kicks one open and gives everybody else some snacks. Paul tries what Billy did only for him to hurt his leg, which caused the audiences to laugh at that before Paul continues onward with the others. Nice try, Paul. David snicker at that part. Billy has a strong kick but Paul doesn't. All Might said laughing with David. Next they all find an old lab that had many broken dinosaur eggs and cloning tubes with unfinished clone dinosaurs. Amanda asks if this is how they make dinosaurs, but Alan answer, is this how you play God? Billy takes photos of the clone dinosaurs that's still inside the tubes while Amanda checks each one out but stops and look at one that looks like a Velociraptor. Amanda looks closer when the raptor's eye moves and then it attacks her and she screams, which alerts everybody. It turns out the raptor was only waiting for an opportunity to strike when Amanda's guard is down. Whoa! New Velociraptor colors, Deku said and sketches out the new raptor appearances. So the black silhouette was the raptor the whole time, All Might said. Yes, it was All Might. Midnight answered. Everybody runs as the Velociraptor goes after them. They found their way out but found it locked, so they run back but the raptors is in front of them. Everybody splits up as the Velociraptor comes after them but goes after Billy and Amanda as they holds themselves in a gate which the raptors pins them but cannot get to them. Paul, Udesky and Alan tries to get it to turn its attention them but no avail. The raptor found its opening to get to its prey and begins climbing up, but Amanda and Billy was able to push and pin the door with the raptor trapped, but it started making some noises that Alan can understand and it's calling for help. Everybody gets outside with the raptor far behind them and began calling out to its pack, which they hear, which means it's time to hunt. Calling for help, which means its pack is coming, Deku said while sketching the white and striped raptor. Hey, something I need to say about the colors. I think the black, red and white colored with hair on the back of the raptors are the males and the white with stripes raptors are the female. Melissa took a guess of each of the raptors. Makes sense, as Melissa. Momo agrees. The group goes into the herd of Parasaurolophus and Corythosaurus, who all run too, believing there is danger. Billy trips and gets back up but loses his bag, which Alan retrieves and tells everybody to head for the trees. Yudeski falls and decided lose his backpack and continues running as the raptors gives them a chase. They were able to reach the trees. Paul and Amanda climb up the trees where the raptors won't be able to reach them. As they reunite with Billy, who asks if Alan is with them, but for Yudeski, he won't be so lucky. As Yudeski keeps going, he stops after hearing a raptor in front of him. He screams as heard by Paul. Yudeski tries to crawl away, but the raptor stabs its toe claw right into his back, making scream in pain, which catches the female raptor and her mate's attention. First time we see that toe claw put to use, Shoto said, because they get to see the toe claw put to action for the first time. Paul, Amanda and Billy find Yudeski and tries to call him, but Billy says he's dead, but when he moves, Amanda attempts to help, but she nearly falls, but she is hanging on the branch as the female and male raptor shows up and jumps higher in attempt chomp her, but they are not getting high enough as Billy and Paul help her back up. Billy says they actually set a trap as the two raptors stares at them. Meanwhile, Alan sees two more and is trying to know what are they looking for as the male is calling out to the others. The female leaves to regroup with the others and the male feast on Yudeski, which caused Amanda not to look. Well, there goes Yudeski, Tenya said as Deku writes Yudeski's fate, killed by the Velociraptors. Also, you think the raptors are also looking for something, which is the main reason why they are going after Alan and the others, Jiro said, and everybody is wondering. Likely Jiro. For Amanda, she gets karma, which nearly got her killed when the two raptors are jumping up to chomp her while she is hanging on the tree, Itsuka said. Alan looking around believing the coast is clear, but when he looks again, a male raptor was there as he moves back and two others corner him. Before the Velociraptor trio can kill Alan, suddenly someone throws gas at them, which in turn scares the raptors while Alan covers his mouth and coughing the gas, and then a person, assuming it's Eric, gets Alan to follow him. Man, I thought Alan was goner, Toru said. We all thought that Toru ribbit. Azui said they all thought that. But thanks to that person who we are all assuming is Eric, came just in time by scaring the raptors off with gas. Alan is safe, Tokoyami said. After taking shelter on a rundown truck, Alan thanks Eric for his help, and Eric was surprised that he knows who he is, and Alan said that his parents are looking for him together, which Eric finds not good. After replacing the old lantern with a new one, Eric recognizes Alan Grant and asks him what is he doing here, and Alan answered that his parents invited him along. I guess Eric knows Alan Grant because he heard about his research or whatever, and the lady said. Also, he might have already know that his parents were once divorced before they came back together after they went to look for him, Kamui would said next. Alan eats while Eric feeds on a crunch chocolate and tells when Ingen cleared out they left a lot of stuff behind, and Alan asks if there are any weapons left behind, but no, and that was the last of the gas Eric used on the Velociraptors, and Alan said that he appreciated that. Eric said he read both of his books and he liked the first one more before he even was in the island, and back then the raptors haven't tried to eat him yet. Alan asked if he read Ian Malcolm's book at all, and yes, he did. After lending Alan another crunch chocolate, Eric hears a commotion coming from outside, and it turns out to be the Apac Compsognathus again, and Eric quickly closed the hatch, preventing the Compies from noticing, otherwise they will go ever there and investigate. The Compies are way too occupied feeding on small insects too. Looks like we get to see the Compies again, Shoto said. At least they don't get any kills out of humans this time, Momo said to him, and true, the Compies seen in this film don't getting any victims out of humans this time. Back with Paul, Amanda and Billy, who is calling for Alan while a herd of Ankylosaurus are passing by and feeding. Paul and Amanda talk about things, especially Eric, on how would have been safe if he was with him instead of Ben. The audiences really like that Paul and Amanda are back together now and no longer divorced this time. Back with Eric and Alan, Eric opens the hatch to see if the compies are gone and it's clear, so he and Alan get a move on. Billy gets down from the tree and checks to see if the raptors are gone and it's clear, so Paul and Amanda get down from the tree and get a move on. It's good to see Paul and Amanda are back together now and no longer divorced like they used to be in the beginning, Mina said, being happy that Paul and Amanda are back together again. They came back together after learning what happened to Eric, Toru said to Mina. Now it's time to get a move on, Midnight said as they make their way for their destination. Also another and new dinosaur, Ankylosaurus. Deku begins sketching the Ankylosaurus next. Ankylosaurus has the best defense against any meat-eating dinosaur thanks to that heavy armor and club tail, Tenya said about the Ankylosaurus having the best defense against any meat-eating dinosaur. Eric shows a raptor claw fossil and Alan recognizes it, knowing he used to have one back in the first film before he threw away in the end. Meanwhile, Billy drinks fresh water from a lake and tells that they won't look for Alan because they know he will be heading for the coast and Eric will be doing the same thing as well. Alan, using binoculars, finds a boat and looks good shape. Eric, if it's rescue boats, but no, it's just something left behind, but it floats. Alan and Eric continue walking until they hear a familiar sound and Eric knows that his dad's satellite phone, and Alan asks him how does he know, and Eric answers while calling out to his parents. Paul and Amanda with Billy then hears Eric calling for them and call out too and run to the source of the calling. I got a bad feeling about this. Why you say that, Deku? Because Melissa, everybody who's still alive doesn't have the satellite phone with them. Everybody knows what Deku meant by that. Coming out of the forest and eventually reunited with each other. For Eric, he was happy to be with his parents after being on Isla Sorna for 8 weeks and embrace each other. Alan and Billy are happy too, and he was surprised that Alan has his bag and Billy asks if he wants him to carry it, but Alan said they need to find a gap on the fence. Paul asked Eric how did he know they were here. Eric answered that he heard his satellite phone, but Paul said he doesn't have it, but then remembers the last he had it he lent to Nash. The conversation gets interrupted after they hear the ringtone of the satellite phone and turn to see where is it coming from. It turns out that the ringtone is coming from the Spinosaurus. Look who's back, Kakin said after they get to see the Spinosaurus a second time. So the ringtone was coming from Spinosaurus's belly because he devoured Nash, who had it moments before being devoured, Recover Girl said. And it looks like that Spinosaurus wants to go for round 2, Tokoyami said, which the main reason why Spinosaurus is back. Alan said run for it, and they all run as the Spinosaurus gives Alan and Eric a chase, and it nearly caught up with them as Alan and Eric got into a hole that leads them to the other side of the fence. The Spinosaurus failed to catch them and it roars then walks away, which gave the group a break, but not quite, as the Spinosaurus smashes through the fence and again the group runs and lock themselves in an abandoned observatory. The Spinosaurus roars and walks away after several failed attempts to break the door down. Finally, the group can catch a break now and Eric can have a moment with his parents, Melissa said, clapping her hands. But I believe the Spinosaurus will be back for them because I think it's not through with them yet, David said, and yes, the Spinosaurus will be back for round. I can't wait for that part, Midnight said. Billy then asked if Alan can give his bag back, but Alan insisted that he got it and Billy asked again, saying it's not safe. Alan opens the bag revealing 2 Velociraptor eggs. Alan asks him if he steal raptor eggs. Billy reveals that he wanted to fund his research by using live raptors, but he did with the best intentions despite it was a stupid decision. Alan dismissed that, only saying that he is no better than the people that built this place. Alan was going to drop it in the river but does not, and tells Paul that now they have the eggs and if he drops it into the river that raptors will still be coming for them. Paul asks what if they catch them with the eggs, but Alan says what if they catch them without the eggs before they make their way to the boat. So it was Billy who gave the raptors an excuse to go after them. Itsuka said, feeling disgusted along with the others by Billy's actions, which gave the Velociraptors an excuse to go after them because he stole their eggs. That idiot, Kakin said. Looks like they have no choice but to hang on to the eggs until they can return it to them, Deku said. You may be right, Midoriya, but we never know if the raptors will still be hostile or not when the eggs are returned to them, David said, but they see later on in the film. Everybody walks down the stairs to get to the boat. When they went to the next stairs, it suddenly breaks off and lands in the water, which made Alan nearly fall, but he was able to hold on to the rail. Well, I guess they take the long way down, Mineta said, but they are about to run into danger. Not much of a choice, Mineta, Denki said to him. Next they take the bridge, but Alan says they do this one at a time. Alan was able to get to the other side safely, and then Amanda went next, but she tells Eric will be next. Eric said to her that he's been gone for 8 weeks and he will spend another moment without her. Well, Amanda moves next and got to the other side and tells Eric to go next, and he does so. While waiting for Eric, Alan grabs and smells a strange sustains which disturbs him. Meanwhile, Eric halts after the bridge and rail rattles, meaning something is coming toward him. Back with Alan and Amanda, Alan looks up and sees which is actually an aviary, and Amanda asks what he means by that. That can't be good, Ijiro said, knowing that danger is coming. What dinosaur this time? Togomi asked, but they are about to find out. We are all about to find out in the end, Denki said as they watch the next scene. Eric keeps looking who's coming toward him, but coming out the fog reveals to be a Pteranodon, which causes Eric to scream and run back to his father and Billy, but the Pteranodon takes off and grabs him and flies away with him as they go after him. As Paul and Amanda goes after Eric and the Pteranodon that snatched him, Billy puts on the parasail, much to Alan's shock on knowing what he's planning, and goes after him, but Billy jumps and opens the parasail to go after Eric. Pteranodons, Deku said, and sketches the Pteranodons again, but this design of Jurassic Park? And what the heck is Billy planning? Kakin shouted. The Pteranodon continues flying with Eric before dropping him in the nest of baby Pteranodons. Eric grabs a skull and throws it at them but missed, and attempts to get away but stops as he is over a cliff and the baby Pteranodon swarms all over him as Billy flies past him. Eric gets them off him as he jumps and grabs onto Billy. Back with Paul, Amanda and Alan, they halt when the other side's bridge is gone. Another Pteranodon appears and goes after them and manage to get inside and cornering them. Alan kicks it in the head, which didn't faze it, but how heavy the Pteranodon is causing the rail they are inside to break off, and they all plummet into the water along with the Pteranodon. The Pteranodon attempts to fly and go after them again, but was killed after being crushed by the falling rail. Well, at least Eric is saved from the bay Pteranodons, because none of us would want to get those little beaks on our face, Jiro said. And there goes one Pteranodon that got crushed by the rail, Momo said. As Billy and Eric attempt to fly to safety, they are attacked by more Pteranodons that tries to peck them with their beaks each time they fly past them, until the last one talons the top of the parasail, and Billy tells Eric to let go now, and Eric lands in the water and swim ashore while Billy gets stuck. Amanda and Eric heads for the boat while Alan and Paul attempts to get to Billy, who gets down from the parasail. Billy attempts to get back to Paul and Alan but was grabbed the Pteranodon but drops him. Alan and Paul try everything they can to get to him, but a second Pteranodon joins up with the other and got to Billy first, and Billy tells them to get away as the two Pteranodons repeatedly peck him with their beaks and clawed him with their talons. Another Pteranodon who's watching then turns its attentions to Alan and Paul, who runs for it. "Oh no, Billy," Eric said as Uraraka gave her some comfort while Deku writes Billy's fate. Killed after being pecked and taloned by the Pteranodons repeatedly, but they will be seeing Billy again in the end of the film. Now is a good to run for it before that. Pteranodon can snatch you both. Shoto said otherwise Billy's fate will be Alan's and Paul's next. Amanda and Eric manage to find their way out to the boat and open the gate, and after getting out Amanda shuts it without locking it. Alan and Paul keep running from the pursuing Pteranodon that's ready to snatch them both, but Alan and Paul jump into the water to get away from it as they swim to the other side, making the Pteranodon unable to catch up to them as they get on board the boat and sail away. Well, they managed to get away from the Pteranodons now, All Might said. But they lost Billy, Midnight said, but they will see again. Unknown to them, the gate that Amanda closed suddenly springs open, and very soon the Pteranodons will eventually their way out as Alan, Paul, Eric and Amanda sail away, but can still hear the Pteranodons from their aviary. Oh, not good, the Pteranodons will eventually find their way, Tokoyami said after seeing that the gate is still open. But they are already long gone before the Pteranodons can find their way out, Tokoyami, Mina said to him, and that's true. Paul was able to start the engine of the boat and says there is plenty of gasoline in there, and they make their toward the coast and try to get some attention. Eric talks with Alan, says that he is sorry about Billy, whom they believed died at the hands of the Pteranodons. Alan then mentions the part that Billy was no better than the people who built this place, but it wasn't actually true. So everything that Alan said to Billy for his actions on stealing the raptor eggs wasn't actually true after all. Yes, Midnight, there was more to Billy's actions and reason for stealing the raptor eggs. Aizawa said to her as they are about to hear what Alan is going to say to Eric. And looks we are all going to hear what Alan is going to say about Billy's reason for stealing the raptor eggs aside from just funding Alan's research. All Might said to them and they all listen. There are two kinds of boys who wants to be in astronomy and other that wants to be astronauts. Alan said that Billy wanted something for people to touch and feel aside from just words to say to people even though not everybody gets go into space anyway. When the sun finally shines on them as they exit the forest, they see something very interesting to see. Well, there is the other reason why Billy did it. It's because he also wanted people to touch and feel things, Shoto said. There's something else they are seeing out there too, Shoto, Momo said to him. What they are seeing is the herd of Brachiosaurus, Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Corythosaurus and Triceratops, which is a very calm and peaceful moment which gave the audiences a smile, cackling just a little. Eric said to Alan that Billy was right. Next, 3 Brachiosaurus approached them to look at them. It's the one in the middle who takes a look at them. Now this was a very calm and peaceful moment, Deku said smiling. At least we get to see the plant-eating dinosaurs again because we've been seeing the carnivores many times and now we really see the herbivores once more, Uraraka said. And we see the Brachiosaurus up close, we see new colors on them, Melissa said to them, the both of them. It's nighttime and they are still heading for their destination, but Paul stops the boat's engine after hearing a familiar sound and it's actually the satellite phone, which means it's likely the Spinosaurus is likely nearby and waiting for them. No, not the Spinosaurus again, Mineta said and panics alongside some of the others. But turns the satellite phone was actually coming out of the Spinosaurus's droppings. Quickly everybody except for Eric goes to find it even if they need to stick their hands into droppings. They did just to find it, which many of the audiences didn't bother look and felt like vomiting their food they have eating. In the end they were able to find the satellite phone and Alan answers it, but it turns out to be just an advertisement. Well, that is six, Kaken said after it was just an advertisement. What a wasted, but at least they can try using the satellite phone to call for help the other way. Tokoyami said there are other ways to call for help anyway. Next they are confronted by a hungry Ceratosaurus. After stopping it takes a sniff at them. But it freaks out after taking one sniff and then walks away. Alan, Paul and Amanda take a look at their hands. It's because they touched the Spinosaurus's droppings just to find the satellite phone. They smell bad, so the Ceratosaurus wouldn't want to eat something that smell very bad. Well, touching the droppings of the Spinosaurus just to find the satellite phone just saved their lives, formed the Ceratosaurus, Jiro said while Deku sketched the Ceratosaurus. That Ceratosaurus wouldn't want to eat something that smells very bad, Melissa said next, and it's true. Storm hits and Paul tells Alan, who's hanging on the satellite phone, not to call the US Embassy because they are not going to do anything to help them anyway. Eric calls them to check something out with him. They see small fish swimming away because something must have spooked them. Alan tells Paul to get the engine started, knowing that there might be danger coming their way. While doing that, Alan makes a call for help, but to someone he trusts the most. Storm, huh? We definitely need to see that, Aizawa said, because already the previous films there are storms. I just hope Alan can call whoever can help them this time, because the embassy will be no help to them anyway, Recovery Girl said. They better hurry because it looks like danger is coming for them, All Might said, but really danger is coming for them. The one who answers Alan's call is the boy Charlie. At first Alan thought that was Ellie while Charlie repeatedly says hello, trying to know who's calling. Alan was able to know it was Charlie and ask him to get the phone to his mommy and says it's the dinosaur man, and Charlie does it. At the same PRD, the Spinosaurus that's hiding in the water approaches them. Interruptions. Tokoyami said because the Spinosaurus is back for round. The Spinosaurus hits the boat, causing Alan to drop the satellite phone and hits the off button, and the Spinosaurus rises from the water as Alan, Paul, Amanda and Eric gets inside the cage to keep them out of reach from the Spinosaurus. But at the same time gasoline is leaking. Back with Charlie, he sees his mom outside but unable to open the door, and then he gets distracted by Barney on the TV. Oh my, I just hope that cage keep the Spinosaurus from getting to them long enough for Charlie to get in touch with his mom. But how, since Alan dropped it pressing the off button and Charlie seems to be distracted at the moment thanks to what's on the TV? Ejiro said to Itsuka. Charlie was able to get the phone to his mom and tells her who's on the phone, and she calls but finds it off. Alan tells others to find something they can use as a weapon but finds a flare gun which can be useful. Ellie dials and the satellite phone rings and they all started to reach for it, but the Spinosaurus tips the boat forward, causing it to be out of their reach until the Spinosaurus tips the boat back, causing the satellite phone to slide back, and Alan was able to retrieve it and answer Ellie. Ellie couldn't hear properly, but Alan tries to say something, but suddenly they all go under the water thanks to the Spinosaurus bringing the entire cage under the water. Ellie tries to get Alan on, but the call cuts and Charlie makes a playful roar which got Ellie to know where Alan really is. I just hope Ellie can convince somebody to Alan and the others get off Isla Sorna, Deku said. Well, she already knows where he is thanks to her son, Uraraka said to him. But right now they need to survive the Spinosaurus at the moment, Melissa said to them. While under the water, Alan, including Paul, were able to get out of the cage, all except for Amanda and Eric, as the Spinosaurus attempts to reach for them with its claws. Alan goes looking for the flare gun while Paul gets up on a nearby crane and gets the Spinosaurus's attention as it was trying to pull Amanda up with its claw. Alan was able to find the flare gun and come up to the surface, then back with Paul, who's up in the crane. The Spinosaurus hits the crane, which nearly caused Paul to fall off it, but hangs on, and the Spinosaurus can easily snatch him this time. Whatever you're going to, Alan, now is the time, Deku said, because the Spinosaurus has a clear shot on chomping Paul. Alan takes aim and fires the flare gun, which bounces off the Spinosaurus, but when the flare lands on the water it causes a fire because the gasoline spilled into the water. Amanda and Eric makes it to shore as Alan joins them. The Spinosaurus panics from the fire, began smashing things including the crane that Paul is still in. Eventually Paul falls into the water and into the fire, so did the crane. Lastly, the Spinosaurus dashes back to shore and leaves. And oh, Paul! Uraraka shouted, thinking they also lost Paul. And oh, not him too? Mina panics after seeing what just happened. Eric started calling out his father, but no response. Amanda, grieving, thinking Paul is dead, says he can't leave her like this. But somehow Paul survived that and makes it back to shore and tells them that he's not going anywhere. The family embrace each other. The audiences are relieved that Paul is alive. Oh, thank goodness! David said, feeling happy with everybody else that Paul is alive. My good guess, he landed somewhere away from the fire, that's for sure. All Might took a guess on how Paul survived that. Paul tells his family during the time they went fishing a couple of summers ago, he put the boat on the water and the trailer sank. A tow truck tried to pull it out but got dragged in too, and then the truck driver wanted to knock Paul's lights out. Paul said that he missed fishing. After that, Alan says it's time to get a move on now. Well, it's good to remember many good memories, Momo said with a smile. I wish, Shoto said, because he doesn't always get a good memory due to his father who gave him abusive training just for his foolish desires to be number. Well, Paul said that he missed fishing even though it didn't end well with the trailer and the tow truck, Tokoyami said next. Eric asked who was the lady he called and how do they know she can help them? Alan said that Ellie is always a person he can rely on. They stop after they can hear something. Eric said it's the ocean, so he, Alan, Paul and Amanda run toward the ocean, but suddenly a Velociraptor gets in their path, causing them to halt. Then the rest of the raptors surrounds them. They are here for the eggs and they want them back. Oh no, I knew they are not through yet, Deku said. That's because they have not returned the eggs yet, but what will happen next after the eggs are returned to them is, we never know. All Might said they will see what happens next after the eggs are returned. I just hope they don't kill them after they get the eggs back. Melissa said, but that's not going to happen because the raptors just wants the eggs back, that's all. The female alpha Velociraptor then steps in and approaches Amanda. Alan says that she thinks Amanda stole the eggs since Billy isn't here to confess that he stole the eggs actually. Paul says to get behind him, but the female raptors growls at him to stay where he is. The female raptor started nudging Amanda around, and after few moments of nudging, the female alpha raptor growls at Amanda to give the eggs back to them, and Amanda tells Alan to give her the eggs, and he does so, but also find the raptor larynx as well. They better not kill them after they get their eggs returned to them. Kaken said, hoping the raptors don't kill them after they get what they want. I highly doubt they will, because Alan is about to use the raptor larynx, Midnight said. Still, it would have been scary to be nudged by the raptor like that, Uraraka said, shaking after seeing the nudging. After Amanda puts the eggs near the female alpha raptor, Alan plays the raptor larynx, which caused all of the Velociraptor to get confused by the sound of it. Alan then plays the similar help sound like the raptors. The female alpha raptor tells her entire pack to stand down as they listen to what sounds like a helicopter, so they get their eggs back and flee into the jungle. Well, they just wanted the eggs back after all, David said, feeling relieved with the others that the Velociraptors spared them. See, what did I tell you? Midnight recalls what did she say to them before. Paul says that's a helicopter they hear, and they all run to the beaches where they see a man who calls out to Alan with a megaphone. They all shouted not to do that until the entire U.S. Marines comes to shore with AV to retrieve them. Alan said thank God to Ellie since she was able to convince the U.S. Navy to come and help them get off Isla Sorna. They get on board the UH-60 Black Hawk, but to their surprise they found Billy alive and in bandage. Billy was happy to see Alan, Paul, Amanda and Eric alive and safe. Billy then